For the first time since 2019, the FIM Long Track World Championship returns to the 1,000-metre sandbahns of Germany. The Rennbahnstadion Muhldorf was used as a COVID-19 testing centre during the global pandemic. It's back to its traditional use this afternoon. Germany's first world final in 1972, won by Ivan Major, was staged here. The club will celebrate 100 years since its foundation in 2023. In the meanwhile, though, Muhldorf provides one of 3 visits to Germany as we make up for lost time in the country. We're back to a full calendar in 2022. We got underway a fortnight ago in Rzeszów. The speedway track there measures 392 metres. This is a conventional long track in all its 970-metre glory, so we could be looking at a very different pecking order this afternoon. Kenneth Hansen and Stanislav Berza, who topped the charts in Poland, have a great deal less experience on circuits of this size. Rider news: Max Dilger is likely out long-term with a fractured pelvis. Josef Franz may not be fit until after the summer break with hand injuries, though he is present in the paddock this weekend. And Dave Meyrink was forced to withdraw because he's still suffering the effects of concussion following his crash at the Bergring in Tetero a month ago. Jakub Bakea again steps in, while the next available reserve, Teruanio, who rode in Rzeszów, crashed out the next day in Speedway, and he's out with a hand injury, so Mika Meyer and Charlie Powell are next in line and make their World Championship debuts. Organisers have nominated Stefan Katt, who's represented Muhldorf domestically for some years, as the wildcard, and he should be able to make an impression. He's been going well in open meetings on board his Matthias Kroger engines. 4 of the field were in action in Germany the day after Rzeszów, exactly a fortnight ago, and no less than 6 riders were in action in Holstead on their weekend off for the European grass track semi-final. So plenty to discuss as always as we build up to the second round of this 2022 FIM Long Track World Championship. Stanislav Berza, after a brilliant opening round in Rzeszów, up in second position in the opening round of the season. All of your previous appearances in the Long Track World Championship have been in Rzeszów in Poland for the first time on a near 1,000-metre track here in Germany. Give us your thoughts about this new adventure on the big long track.
Welcome everyone. Before I'm just racing speedway track. That's for me is everything new. I don't know everyone set up make the setup for the suspension and gearbox. That's I'm learn all time. That's for me it's first time on the very long track. New takie doświadczenie, doświadczenie. That's for me is a new experience, and I am trying good racing and for this plan win hits.
Why now? You start for the first time in the challenge, first time doing the qualifiers, now first time full season of the Long Track World Championship. Why now in your career?
Why now? Because I'm almost finished racing speedway. That's and I like the racing. That's I'm trying now speedway on the long track. That's for me is I made this for fun. There's no pressure, nothing. I want try. I want make something for riders from Poland, because we have lots of riders for speedway, very good riders, but riders not trying racing long track. I'm racing now. Probably be more riders want to race speedway. That is we building now the long track in Poland.
And as far as the championship is concerned, we saw you in Herxheim for the Long Track of Nations. So you have a chance to try a big classic long track. How do you feel about your chances for this weekend again in Germany?
Chance. It's chance, but there's only meeting the speedway, the sport. That's everyone rider fighting about good position, and also I'm trying here race, and because I'm racing all season, all the round. That everyone around you make points that for the all together for the finish season we see what be, but this is the moment here. I concentration on the meeting and this plan, good race.
And we know that the 1,000-metre tracks are very different to a speedway track, you said already. What special preparations do you make for this type of event? Different engine, something mechanical that's different for this event, I'm sure.
I'm normally make tuning engines for speedway. That's it's nothing for me different. I know the engine need little stronger, make little different setup, but I'm prepare bikes and engines for me. That's also I'm trying to prepare something different for long track speedway. But the different is the position on the bike. The long street and riders must race like much different like speedway, because speedway is very short, very tight corners. That's I've learned now almost everything.
So we look forward to seeing how you get on. Thank you again for your time.
Okay, good luck for everyone. See you.
Joined by Charlie Powell ahead of his World Championship debut, and a big challenge for you, I would suggest, this weekend, coming in at the 11th hour as a reserve call-up and with limited experience of these kind of classic long tracks as well.
Yeah, no, I'm obviously looking forward to it, and it'll be obviously completely different to what I normally do at grass track in England and stuff, but we've been riding abroad quite a lot, so hopefully we can try and get amongst the points or just be a part of it. I'm looking forward to just being a part of it, really, so just do my best.
As you say, predominantly grass experience. You've been out there for practice today. How do you feel getting peppered in stones like you've been to a paintballing event?
Yeah, no, it's be all right. I'm covered in bruises already, but I'm sure we'll have a few more at the end of the day. But yeah, I just want to be a part of it and hopefully make some starts and just try and just not be too far behind and be amongst all the best riders in the world. So that should be good.
Is your mechanical setup very different for this weekend compared to what you'd usually run?
about 10T flower. But obviously, I've had a bit of help with some setups from some different people. But yeah, it was a big learning curve for me. So hopefully I can maybe get some results and see if I can sort of learn as the day goes on.
Yeah, and I'm sure that the intention and the ambition is to be here permanently at some point in the future. Would I be right in guessing that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've done the qualifying round at Bielefeld, and I finished 6th there, I think. So we obviously got through to the next round there, into Marmande, and obviously Marmonde's not next week, the week after, I think. So I'm hoping to go down there and get a permanent spot rather than just being called up at the last hour. So.
Yeah, I was going to talk to you about Marmande because a grass track and something that you would be more accustomed to, I think it's fair to say, because you do race not only in the UK but also open meetings over here in Europe as well. So you've done a fair number of laps, particularly on the grass.
Oh yeah, no. So yeah, obviously I've been riding abroad for a little while now, so I'm starting to get the hang of that and got a few podiums this year. So yeah, obviously Marmande, I've been there maybe 2 or 3 times, hopefully, and I can hopefully take some. That was my previous experience down there, and hopefully get on the podium or just at least qualify. That'd be the best thing. That's the starting point. So.
And what about your targets for this weekend? Just go out there and enjoy it and learn as much as you can, I think, perhaps rather than setting yourself a specific target.
Yeah, I've got no goals this week. I just wanted, my goal is to just enjoy myself and not be too far behind. Try and be amongst it with everyone and just sort of just be able to take a lot in and learn a lot from obviously all the other guys, and hopefully it's been a good experience for hopefully next year, if I can get into it. So.
Well, we wish you the best of luck for your debut, and welcome to the championship.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Long-awaited return to the World Championship this weekend for Stefan Katt. You're coming in as a wild card, and for you, quite relaxed, I imagine, an opportunity to show what you can do still on the long track.
Yeah, of course. I'm really happy to have the wild card now, and what you were saying, I have no pressure, nothing, and apart from that, I mean, the whole season, I really love to be back on the bike, and I enjoy it. I enjoy every lap I do, and there's no pressure for me, and I just do what I want to do, and I love it.
Last couple of seasons for you as a permanent rider in the World Championship. I know you had some injury problems, a little bit of bad luck as well, and finally, to an extent, I wonder if it was better for you to have a clean break and to build yourself back up, because you had a couple of difficult seasons.
Yeah, of course, I had a few injuries and so, and I mean, a big difference for me now is also that, we had a break for about 2 years and just a few meetings in between, and But big difference for me now is since we got Corona, I've in German we say I have a second leg now because I'm working and I'm self-employed with one of my best mates, and he is we're doing a lot of we are working on a building site, and this is a thing where I don't normally I was just earning the money from the racing, and now I have a second job, and I can do what I want to do. Of course, every meeting I want to win or definitely be on the rostrum. But if I'm getting fifth, it's happened. I'm not happy with that, but then it's happened, and so on that way I can say it's not that much pressure I used to have, and the whole team around me works perfect, and I mean that did also the other years, but I mean this year is the bikes working perfect, the engines from Martin are working perfect, and I'm happy with that. So yeah.
Tell us about your 2022 season so far. I know you've done some open meetings already, so you're not coming into the cold for this one, even though some riders, of course, have had the opening round of the championship.
Yeah, I know it's. I had a few meetings this year, and I don't know. I have already 10 meetings, 12 meetings or so, and I finished a few times on the rostrum, won a meeting, and the season starts pretty good for me, and and about today. What I was saying earlier, also in the press, I want to destroy the results a little bit and to see, it's not bad what I mean with that, but hopefully I definitely do my best today, and hopefully I end up on the rostrum and mix the points together.
And are you thinking in terms of being back in the World Championship in the future? Is that a clear goal for you, or are you quite calm about if it happens in the future, then it happens? But, is it really a focus for you now to be back in the World Championship in the future?
Of course, my main focus is going back to the GP, and this is the top league, and this is where I want to be, and I normally have to be, but the qualification round in Bielefeld was pretty good for me. I finished fifth, so but anyway, it was a perfect track and a really, really good meeting. And now the next step is Marmont, and I loved Marmont, and I like Marmont, and but I also on some meetings I was hating the track, and but yeah, I mean if everything works good and I have the luck on my side and the track is perfect for me, I can be in the top 3, of course.
And that's the target for this weekend as well, I suppose, to try and challenge for those podium places, as you said previously, with less pressure on your shoulders.
Of course. I mean, now in the practice start, I've done pretty good starts, and I felt well on a bike. And so for me now, my focus for today is going on to get on the podium and the rostrum. And but if it's not happened, then it's not happened. But the main focus is for that.
Well, we wish you luck. Welcome back to the World Championship, and enjoy the day.
Of course I will do. Thanks, guys.
So you're thinking, who is this dressed in his own clothes and not racing? Who are we interviewing who's not riding today? Well, it's Martin Smolinski, of course, former world champion in the long track discipline. We're very disappointed not to have you racing at the moment. For those who aren't familiar with your current injury situation, catch everyone up, because it's been 2 very difficult years for you.
Oh yes, you're right. I mean, first, thank you very much. Call me in here to have an interview, even with my standard clothing, no racing clothes, no team wear. But I decided to come once, as a casual person. Sometimes, I must say big thanks to my sponsors. But today I don't wear them. But Minfu is very bad. I would love to. If I just talked to Romano Hummel next to us here, and he's the current world champion. I was second last year, and I would love to stand in his position there. But I have to give up this season. I had a very nasty accident 2 years ago. I broke my hip, and beginning of the year, in February, I had corona, and I lost all my body pressure, and I was racing beginning of the year very good on a very high level. I'm still top 32 of the Speedway world, but after I had so much pain and the daily life was not anymore very nice, so I decided I need to go for a big operation. I got a completely hip replacement, so at the moment I put my steel shoe for 1 year again on the nail, but no worries, boys. I will come back and I will show them how to race.
And you're not lost to the long track sport in the meanwhile, of course, because when we spoke previously in Rzeszów last year, you were telling us about your engine tuning. Seems like it's going well, and you have some interest here in the Long Track World Championship for 2022.
Yeah, there are some guys, they having some engines for me in the bike, and it's not really only my engines. I cooperate very close together with Manfred Knappe, and we development the last years the Java engine on a very high level, and the Java boys, or even Martin Malek, he was working for Java, he's on engines from us, so it's quite good. And they be that, the Czech boys being quite quick in Herxheim, so I think, and today he also looks very quick, and if you look about the times, they are not too bad, so we're looking forward what they're going to do. But at the end, they all should stay on the bike, they should have a fair racing, and we would love to see the fastest one winning out there.
We know that you are very popular anytime we come to Germany with the long track and also the Speedway fans. There's been a lot of attention around you already this weekend, so maybe an opportunity for you to enjoy some of the fans and the interaction and the different side of the sport.
It's a completely different side of the sport, you're fully right. I mean, it's for me not easy. I mean, I know I'm not racing this year, but I'm very busy with all the other things what goes on with the company, commentating for Eurosport. Even here today, you have, it's time, after 2 years of Corona, people want to come up, they want to catch up with you. We have a nice conversation, talk to each other, like just to bring up the family again. We have a big wheel, and we have to keep the big wheel turning. There's a girl who's singing it, and that's the reason why I'm here. I try to keep the big wheel turning and make a little bit of marketing. I know the old guys. My hero was in the old days was Simon Wick, and he was the best marketing man when he was coming over to Germany, and I try to do the same. So. And it's running quite good. I mean, like you see, I've come here, I've been here like since 8 o'clock and signing autograph, talking, so it's quite busy for me also.
Now, your fans would be very disappointed if I didn't ask you the big question about the return to the bike. I know that you're still recovering. Obviously, the operation is still fairly recent, but physically you're looking good, looking comfortable walking now, which wasn't easy for you before. So we start to think about when you could be back on a bike.
It's very hard to say. I mean, now it's just 8 weeks ago after I got my hip replacement. And a lot of people say 3 months don't do anything, walking on sticks. But if you have a very good body and a body feeling, if your physical fitness is everything on a high level, you can make it a bit different. And I always show the doctors it's different than normal people. I have a very strong mind in my head that I want to be fit again. But this year we decided, I must say, I have a very close cooperation with Glenn Phillips. We cooperated, the race director, or even with the FIM. We say what we're gonna do. I got the fully, I got the placement here in the Grand Prix, but we decided together, I will, go out for the whole season, and I know we think about in a team to cancel meeting by meeting, but I think this is very unfair for the first reserve rider. So he knows he's for the whole season in the team. It get me away from the pressure from the racing situation, because so I don't have to fight very hard to get my body fit again. But I want to be back on the bike in September. It looks like I want to go for practice in September, do some laps, and for sure I would like to do some meetings on the speedway track in October. We have some 2 meetings around my corner. It's very nice, but I will be back this year. I want to have some fun again this year, and next year I will come back with 110% again, then I want to show the boys how to do it properly again then.
Well, it's really nice to catch up with you, even though it's in casual clothes this weekend. We'll keep an eye on how you get on in your recovery and in October in those meetings, and hopefully we see you back in the Long Track World Championship full time next year. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much. We will see you, and all the best for all the riders tonight.
The first individual World Championship round in Germany for almost 3 years. It really is great to be back. And the crowd have obviously missed it too, because they've certainly turned out in force. The first of 15 qualifying heats then, providing debuts to Charlie Powell and Mika Meyer for the 3 on their inside. A reminder of how they got on at the opening round. Gate 1 in red for Heat 1. It's Hinek Stickauer and Neelyman in Zhezhov. He missed the cut for the grand final by a point in the heats, and then lost out to Chris Harris's pass in the LCQ. So he's 9th after a disappointing ride in the consolation final. 5th place last time out for Martin Malek, his best result to date in the championship, and also his first grand final appearance. He goes off gate 2 in blue here. Gate 3 white for Chris Harris, scored only the 2nd podium of his career last month, battling from the back rides in his last heat race and also the grand final for 3rd. The 2 riders off the 2 outside start positions here making their World Championship debuts. That's Charlie Powell from Great Britain in yellow and Mika Meyer of the Netherlands in green. Big challenge for Powell this afternoon, not only because of the standard of the field, but also the circuit itself. He does have quite a lot of experience on the grass tracks of the UK, and even sometime in Speedway's 3rd tier in his homeland. That really is nothing quite like the imposing sandbarn here in Muhldorf. Martin Malek, chasing his first podium finish at this level, was only 13th here on his last visit. That was midway through his debut 2019 campaign. He's come an awful long way since then. Former European finalist in Speedway. Remember, he only made his first FIM long track appearance back in 2015. Two favourites off gates 2 and 3. I'd fancy for this one, heat number 1. A little bit of edginess on the line, and actually the two riders who appeared nervous, the two debutants making fast jumps. It's Mika Mayer who's going to be the first to show, and the debutant pulls clear coming off turn number 2. Charlie Powell, after a good initial run, drops backwards. They're side by side coming off the second bend for second place, and it's Hinek Stikauer who sees off the challenge of Martin Malik down the back straight for the first time to hold the supremacy among the two Czechs in second and third. Chris Harris in fourth, fairly anonymous in the early stages, and if it's Czechs 2 and 3, it's Great Britain 4 and 5 in this one. Mika Mayer, real surprise package, pulling well clear up at the front of the field. Does look as though Martin Malik is being held back here by Hinek Stikauer. He does appear to have more pace than his fellow countrymen. Can't quite capitalise on it though. Looked like he had to back out of it going into turn 1 at the start of lap number 2. Heading towards half race distance now. Mika Mayer leading the way, and still the two Czechs dicing it out over second position. Bit of a bobble there coming off turn 4 for Hinek Stikauer. That's going to give the impetus once again to Martin Malik, but again he can't capitalise on it as they head back towards turn number 1. And Stikauer closing the door quite well here. Moves up to mid-track around turns 1 and 2. Malik then with the inside run, but again Stikauer closes the door, running narrow now down the back straight to see off the challenge of the number 111. Martin Malik in the blue helmet colour, moving up to the outside line now around turns 3 and 4 as they head towards the final lap. Chris Harris in the frame as well. Harris looking to the inside, cuts past on the inside of Martin Malik, and then around the outside of Hinek Stikauer to go from 4th to 2nd in one move. Malik now has come past his fellow countryman as well, so it's all change at the end of lap number 3. A supreme pass that from Chris Harris, coming through around the inside on Martin Malik, getting his wheels in line nice and early coming off turn 4 and driving not only across the path of Malik but also around the outside of Stikauer. Malik following him through, so it's going to be a revised finishing order in the second half of this race, but there's not enough time for Chris Harris to catch Mika Mayer, and on his World Championship debut the young Dutchman banks 4 heat points, so a perfect start to his qualifying programme. The youngster wins heat number 1 ahead of the experienced campaigner Chris Harris, who remember was a podium finisher last time out. Martin Malik, a grand finalist in Rzeszów, so two real notable scouts there for Mika Mayer on his World Championship debut in the opening heat here in Muhldorf. Good action from second positions down as Chris Harris managed to weave his way back into the race, was dead and buried around the opening lap, but in the second half of that one in particular, Harris seemed to find some speed from absolutely nowhere. Malik tried the mid-track line around turns 3 and 4 to see if he could finally get ahead of his fellow countryman Hinek Stikauer, to no avail as Harris came through on the inside. Malik then also finding his way past, so it's 4 points on the board for Mika Mayer. Chris Harris over the line for 3 points in second. Third to Martin Malik, 2 points on the board for him. Hinek Stikauer the consolation point for fourth, and Charlie Powell fails to score on his World Championship debut. On to heat 2 and 3 of the top 4 from the opening round in Rzeszów, lining up here, including the winner, Kenneth Hansen. The lineup in full for heat number 2 here in Muhldorf. Zach Weitneck goes off the inside gate in red. 8th for him in Rzeszów. Luck just went against him with a retirement in his third outing, and then a 5th place in the last chance qualifier. 4th place at the season opener, Matteo Trezaria, the 2017 world champion, goes off gate 2 here in blue. Second only to Kenneth Hansen at the Polish round was Stanislav Berza, much to the delight of the home fans. He goes in the white helmet colour here off gate 3. Gate 4, winner of the consolation final in Rzeszów, Theo Piper rather salvaged his season opener after what was an inconsistent start, and only beaten in 1 of his opening 6 rides in 2022 is the opening round winner Kenneth Hansen, who completes the lineup here off the outside gate in green. Hansen in for a real test today. This is his first appearance on a classic long track in the World Championship. And at a similar venue for the Long Track of Nations back in May, he largely struggled. Similar story for Stanislav Berza this afternoon. His first World Championship round outside of Poland. 3 wildcards in Rzeszów, plus of course the 2022 season opener. Did ride in the Long Track of Nations, but struggled to get to grips with the track, scoring 5 of his 10 points at the expense of his teammates. And this afternoon, I would suggest a real indication as to how he might get on over the course of this season. Of course, his first full campaign at this level. Last rider to settle in then is Stanislav Berza, going off gate number 3 in the white helmet colour. They're all settled in now for heat number 2. It's Weitneck, Trezaria, Berza, Piper and Hansen. Second race of the day, again, nervousness on the line. The referee waits until they're stationary and finally lets the tapes rise. Is the two top performers from the opening round of this season who are the first to show. Kenneth Hansen, the series leader, leads them coming down the back straight of lap number 1 here in Heat 2. Stanislav Berza up into a good second place. He'll be pleased with how he's got off to a good start in this one. Mathieu Trezaria trying to hunt him down, the Frenchman in third position at present. And surprisingly, Theo Piper out at the back in the early stages. He's through now on Zach Weitneck. Weitneck trying to repay the compliment coming off turn 4. But at the end of the opening lap, you would have suggested that both Piper and Weitneck you would have expected to see up closer to the pointy end in their opening outings. The real surprise for me here is Stanislav Berza in second position, and well, my concerns about Hansen and Berza, the top two men from the opening round, and how they might struggle visiting this German sandbahn have proven unfounded thus far. It's been a smooth and steady ride from Stanislav Berza in second position, and Hansen looking a real class act in this one, his opening ride of course, and every inch as fast, if not faster, than Mika Meyer was first time out in Heat 1. Still Zach Weitneck trying to find a line on Theo Piper out at the back of the field. Still close for second and third positions as well, with Stanislav Berza being closed down and hunted down now by Mathieu Trezaria. Just over a lap to go for these riders towards the back of the field, and likewise up at the front, Kenneth Hansen pulling clear now, and only one tour to complete to win on this German sandbahn. That really will be a major achievement. Trezaria around the outside of Berza at the start of the final lap, doing a great job there to come through for second position, almost catching Berza unawares, and Berza's losing speed actually as this race goes on, because look how quickly Trezaria has managed to open up a gap on him. He's not going to close down Hansen, that's for sure. Kenneth Hansen is going to take his first race victory of the day, and in impressive style as well, claiming the scalp of Mathieu Trezaria. Third place goes the way of Stanislav Berza. That's still a decent ride for him, but it would have been that much better if he'd been able to come over the line for second position and ahead of Trezaria. The Frenchman just finding his way through. Sheer acceleration and momentum down the start-finish straight coming into the final lap. Gets across the front of Berza, who then backs out of it around turns 1 and 2, and in the end drifts well away from the former world champion. Trezaria then claiming a comfortable second and showing plenty of speed on the final 2 laps, much as Chris Harris did last time out in Heat 1. The two men, of course, were rivals at the opening round in Rzeszów. So 3 of the top 4 from the opening round, and they occupy the top 3 positions in that one, Heat number 2, with Kenneth Hansen victorious for the 4 race points. Second place going the way of Mathieu Trezaria, 3 qualifying heat points for him. 2 points on the board for Stanislav Berza. Theo Piper collecting the consolation point, and surprisingly a disappointing start for Zach Weitneck, who fails to score. Heat 3, and Romano Hummel in particular looking to make an impression here after finishing 15th and last in Rzeszów. His struggles at the opening round came as a major surprise, because he has been on great form in open meetings in pre-season, and Rzeszów was the venue where he claimed the 2021 title, but effectively his 2022 World Championship campaign starts today. Heat 3, it's James Shanes off the inside gate in red. Started strongly in Rzeszów before fading with just a single point in his final 2 rides. He then suffered a mechanical failure, of course, in the consolation final that leaves him in 10th. Romano Hummel suffered several different mechanical failures at the season opener. He's just a single point on the board for his title defence thus far. Lucas Finhager fell a point short of the consolation final in Poland, suffered a second ride fall, cut a rather dejected figure after the meeting. This is an important one for him as the home hopeful. The wild card coming in for what is his 81st World Championship appearance is Stefan Katt in yellow. And off the outside gate for this one, Heat 3, Jakub Bakaya. Tough evening for him in Rzeszów, but he gets a second reserve call-up of 2022 and another opportunity to prove himself really on the world stage here. Lucas Finhager, struggling with injuries this season so far, was left in some discomfort after his fall in Rzeszów 2 weeks ago. Hopefully we get to see him back at his best for the rest of this season. Heat number 3 goes, tapes up, and it is a good jump off gate number 4 from Stefan Katt, the wildcard. The wildcard, Katt is the first to show. Bakea coming around the outside line to challenge him for the lead, but the red lights have already come on. The riders taking a while to see them, but Bakea is the first to catch sight of them, and then Stefan Katt raising his left arm as well to come to a stop down the back straight. So heat number 3 reaching a premature stoppage there as the meeting referee Powell obviously sees something that he's not too satisfied with there. Looked like a slightly nervous start again off gates 4 and 5, but I would suggest nothing worse than what we'd seen in the opening 2 races of the day. I'm sure that Powell would disagree with me. Certainly some movement from Stefan Katt off gate number 4, and I suspect that he's going to be the rider to receive a warning from the meeting referee here for causing the restaging. But I suggested previously that there was a little bit of edginess on the line off gates 4 and 5 in heat number 1, and a little bit of unease before the tapes went up in heat 2 as well. So clearly the meeting referee just keen to stamp that out, and we will have a clean start here, hopefully, for the 3rd race of the day. Coming back into line then, James Shanes, Romano Hummel, Lucas Finhager, Stefan Katt and Jakob Bakea, with Stefan Katt, the man very much in focus this weekend, and making his return to the World Championship. His first appearance since 2020. Pretty miserable 2020 season it was by his standards as well. Finished it down in 12th position. He was 5th in the Bielefeld qualifier last month, though, and harbouring hopes of a return for 2023. So in the meanwhile, getting an opportunity to test himself again at this level as a wildcard in Muhldorf this afternoon. He had made a good jump, but receives a warning for moving before the tapes went up there in heat number 3. So we'll settle in again. Lucas Finhager just turning away from the tapes. Rider who knows this venue well, of course, and we know what he's capable of at this stage as well. The world number 4 of 2019 and the 2020 world champion will be the last rider to settle in now for the second time of asking for heat number 3. Romano Hummel keen to bounce back. Lucas Finhager likewise. The 2 most recent world champions off gates 2 and 3. The wildcard, fast starter in the initial running, Stefan Katt off gate 4. Outside gates have been working well in this meeting so far. Heat number 3 goes tapes up for a second time of asking, and again, gates 4 and 5 the first to show. Katt with the whole shot off gate 4 in yellow. Bakea coming around the outside now of Hummel, and will give chase to Stefan Katt coming off turn 2. Katt, though, is the first rider with his wheels in line, will move across and ease Bakea out of the way, coming down the back straight. Race for 3rd position. Lucas Finhager was left at the back going down towards turn 1, but has got around the outside of James Shanes and now picked off Romano Hummel for 3rd. He will give chase to Jakob Bakea now for 2nd position. Gets his wheels in line nicely, coming off turn 4 at the end of the opening lap. Can't quite get the move done just yet, and Bakea closes the door. Out at the back now, James Shanes trying to find his way past Romano Hummel. Coming around the outside of turn 2, we've got 2 races in 1. Finhager now through on Bakea, and Shanes has picked off Hummel for 4th position as well. So good action in the early stages of this meeting here in Muhldorf, and 2 position changes for the price of 1 there, with Lucas Finhager getting through on Jakob Bakea, and James Shanes for the consolation point, relegating Romano Hummel down to the back. So picking up, unfortunately, where he left off in Rzeszów. Romano Hummel struggled a fortnight ago in the Polish round, and he's not going to have a good start here in Germany this afternoon either. Who is having a good start is Lucas Finhager, beginning now to close down Stefan Katt up at the head of the field. May well run out of time to really give chase for that top spot, but Stefan Katt might be vulnerable here on the final 1,000 metres or so of this one, heat number 3. Katt needs to keep a good line and keep up his momentum because Finhager is coming for him. Finhager, who was left at the back from the tapes and who was in last position as they hit turn 1. James Shanes quickly dispatched. Romano Hummel dispatched as well. Through on Jakob Bakea, and now with just over a bike length separating him from a race victory in his opening outing. Katt goes conservative on the inside line. Finhager's committed to the outside, builds up his momentum nicely, and there's nothing Katt can do to deny Lucas Finhager. Right of the meeting so far. Finhager from the back takes heat number 3, denies the wildcard a fairy tale return to the World Championship. Katt then takes 2nd, Bakea for 3rd, James Shanes passing Romano Hummel, and I said before we went tapes up, 2 former world champions in Romano Hummel and Lucas Finhager, our 2 most recent world champions. Well, there was no solace for Romano Hummel in that one. He was unable to score, but Lucas Finhager, after making a poor jump, fights his way back into the race and shows the kind of speed that he did on his way towards that World Championship title in 2020. Finnhaga victorious in Heat 3 then, ahead of Stefan Katt, who takes 3 points for second. Bakaya with a steady ride for 2 points in third, beating James Shanes and Romano Hummel in particular, looking disappointing out at the back. Inside two gate positions have been poor thus far. The vast majority of the points scored from the outside three, and Lucas Finnhaga scoring his points there from behind, doing a good job to pick off each of the riders in turn, and then getting through on Stefan Katt, coming around the final 2 turns for the final time to become our third heat winner in Muhldorf this afternoon. Gate positions then certainly playing their part in the opening round, but every rider gets to use all 5 of them, of course, so that should even itself out. Lucas Finnhaga provides the first home heat winner after his pass on Stefan Katt. There's been no shortage of action thus far in Muhldorf. Low-scoring start for Theo Piper and Romano Hummel. No such problems for the man who completes the Dutch contingent this afternoon. Mika Meyer victorious on his debut in heat number 1. He returns for his second appearance in this one, Heat 4. The 2 riders off the inside 2 gates here, meanwhile, finished first and second in Heat 2, so a very competitive lineup. 4th race of the day off the inside gate in red, Mathieu Trezaria finished second behind Kenneth Hansen. First time those 2 met in the second race of the day. Hansen, the winner of that Heat 2, goes off gate 2 in blue. Gate 3 white, Charlie Powell was cut well adrift in his World Championship debut in Heat 1. He'll be looking to put his first points of the meeting on the board. Learning experience, of course, this afternoon for him. Gate 4 in yellow, Mika Meyer did fantastically well on his World Championship debut to win the opening race of the day. And off the outside gate in green, it's Romano Hummel, like Charlie Powell, looking to score for the first time. And that's a major surprise. Hummel was disappointing in Heat 3, passed by James Shanes and then adrift at the checkered flag. So important race this one for Romano Hummel, and a very competitive lineup, as I have already said. Mika Meyer just pulling back into line. 2 previous heat winners going head-to-head. Kenneth Hansen off gate 2 and Meyer off at gate 4. Meyer, of course, making his first appearance in the top flight, but no new name to this discipline because he was the bronze medalist in the 2016 250cc World Trophy, and he was also a track reserve at the Dutch round at senior level in 2018. Meyer, one of a small group of young riders at the moment looking to break into the World Championship, and he's certainly well placed to do it. Rode in the Long Track Challenge last year, and he is through to the challenge again in 2022 after he finished third in the Bielefeld qualifier last month. Just a short hold-up by the looks of things to this one. The starting marshal was looking for information from the referee, and the riders have now been sent away from the tapes. So whether there is a malfunction or a problem otherwise, I can't really ascertain from our vantage point. But the riders just being sent back towards the pits gate. I'm sure it won't be long before we can get underway with the second round of races. This one, heat number 4, and as I've been saying, a very competitive lineup. On paper, at least, the favourite should be Mathieu Trezaria in the red helmet colour. Trezaria, arguably the pre-meeting favourite for this event as well, and certainly at this venue because he was third on our last visit here in 2019, and the 2 riders who beat him, Martin Smolinski and Dimitri Berger, no longer in the lineup, although it is good to see Martin Smolinski down in the pits this weekend. Mathieu Trezaria, who was also third here in Muhldorf in 2017 and 2018, so certainly a venue he rides very well. Romano Hummel has fond memories of Muhldorf as well because he made his top flight debut here in 2017 with a 7th place, so venue that certainly holds no fears for him, though he's missed the World Championships 2 most recent visits to Muhldorf as a result of quite severe injuries, from which he has managed to battle back and become the 2021 World Championship. And to become the 2021 World Champion. Romano Hummel then looking to get points on the board for the first time here this afternoon. Moments away now. Heat number 4 goes, tapes up, and it's not a good start at all from Mathieu Trezaria off gate number 1. Those inside starting positions still struggling, and it's Romano Hummel from the wide outside who jets across the path of all of his rivals and now accelerates away, coming off turn number 2. Battle out at the back. left somewhat this time Mika Meyer after such a brilliant start from his opening ride and a victory off gate number 5. Gate 4 not proving as productive for him in this one. He is now through on Charlie Powell for the consolation point, but the other 3 are streaking well clear at the head of the field. It is Romano Hummel, and looking very much back to his best this time around, and what a relief that's going to be to him after a miserable night in Rzeszów at the opening round of this campaign. He's looking set to take his first victory of his title defence. Races for second position. Mathieu Trezaria came through on Powell and Meyer in straightforward fashion around the first 2 turns. Despite that disappointing run off gate number 1, he is starting to gain now on Kenneth Hansen. This is the battle for second position. These 2 finishing 1 and 2, first time they met in Heat 2. Mathieu Trezaria is going to come off second best to Hansen twice, and that's another big scalp for Kenneth Hansen, his first World Championship appearance on a near 1,000-metre sandbahn. Of course, he's a relatively recent convert to this discipline and really pulling up some trees in the early stages of his career. Of course, missed last season due to injury. Mathieu Trezaria going well wide there around turns 3 and 4, just to see if he can find something a little bit extra on the tail of Kenneth Hansen, but he's now dropped well away. So this consolidates second position for Hansen. He's going to move provisionally top of the meeting leaderboard on 7 heat points from 2 qualifying rides, and Mathieu Trezaria will be left on just 5 points from 2. Romano Hummel bouncing straight back after a non-scoring ride first time out. He's set to score 4 points here. The reverse almost is true for Mika Meyer, despite a late attack on the tail of Mathieu Trezaria. He's kept up good pace with the Frenchman, but is only going to score a consolation point from his second ride, heat number 4. So 2 previous heat winners in that lineup, and both of them dispatched by Romano Hummel. That's going to add some balance to the score chart. Also underlines how well that gate 5 position is working. Meyer won from it in heat 1, Hansen from it in heat 2, and now Romano Hummel in heat number 4. Hummel then doing the job from the start around the outside of the first 2 turns, and that one a somewhat more sedate affair than we saw in the opening round of races, with action aplenty and passing aplenty. In that one, the only overtake was for the consolation point, Mika Meyer coming through to relegate Charlie Powell to the back. So 2 non-scoring rides for Charlie Powell, a single point for Mika Meyer, moving him on to 5, the same score as Mathieu Trezaria from 2 outings. Kenneth Hansen provisionally leads the meeting on 7 after a second place, and Romano Hummel puts his first points on the board. It's a race victory for him in heat number 4. From left to right, inside to out for heat 5 of the inside gate red. Martin Malik, 2 points for him first time out. He managed to find his way past Hinek Stickauer for 3rd position, but finished behind Chris Harris and surprise heat 1 winner Mika Meyer. Gate 2 blue for Stanislav Berza. Good fast getaway in his opening ride, but he was passed by Mathieu Trezaria. Nonetheless held on for a convincing 3rd place and 2 points on the board. Theo Piper goes off gate 3 in a white. Single point for him in his opening ride. Pretty disappointing. Only got the better of Zach Weitneck in heat 2. Gate 4 for Hinek Stickauer, so the 2 Czechs meeting for the second time. Stickauer finished directly behind Malik first time out in heat 1. And off the outside gate green, Stefan Katt. He was passed by Lucas Finhager in the run down to the line in heat number 3. So 3 points on the board for the wildcard. Great to have Stefan Katt back in the lineup, because the former world number 3 is certainly one of the sport's all-time greats. Made his top flight debut now 22 years ago. Sits 3rd on the all-time appearance records. He's had over 800 points from 80 meetings in the Long Track World Championship and is 4 times a final winner. He's also been prolific on the grass during his career. He is 3 times European grass track champion, and he was the wild card on our last visit here to Muhldorf in 2019. Finished just 14th on that occasion. He was only 13th here in 2018 on his way to elimination from the series, but this is a very different Stefan Katt, as he proved, showing plenty of pace first time out in heat number 3. This is heat 5. Riders looking down at the magnets, and we are underway. Poor starts off gates 1 and 3. An initial strong start from Stanislav Berza, but whether that was a gear change or something else, he bogged down in the run towards turn number 1, and he's now gone to the back. So that moves Martin Malik up into 3rd position and Theo Piper into 4th. Meanwhile, at the front, Stefan Katt went side by side with Hinek Stickauer coming off turn 2, but was relegated down to 2nd place. So Stickauer, after scoring just a single point first time out, is looking good at the head of the field in his second ride. Stefan Katt now forced to move to defend. Theo Piper has already come through on Martin Malik for 3rd, and here it comes. Piper now for second across the path of Katt at the start of lap number 2. From 4th to 2nd, a good ride there from the Dutchman. Theo Piper then dispatching Stefan Katt and immediately moving clear. Katt will now try to respond, but he's got something to work on here, has the German, because he was passed by Lukas Finnhager around turns 3 and 4 in his opening ride on the final lap, and he's been passed again, well, this time coming off turn 4 by Theo Piper. The outside momentum carrying him through for 2nd position, and Katt now under some pressure just to hold on to 3rd, because Martin Malik, he's not making good starts here today, but he has once again got enough speed to trouble his rivals. Here he is with the cutback coming off turn 2, looking for a move down the inside on Katt into the top turn, but Katt just about manages to hold on for the moment, at least in that 3rd position. Here goes Malik now, applying the outside line to see if he can make that run work for him. Matteo Trezaria tried it last time out in Heat 4 and only went backwards, and it's the same for Martin Malik in this one, Heat 5. So the race, I think, now has settled down. Looks like being a race victory for Hinek Stickau. So after scoring just a single point first time out off gate number 1, gate 4 proving much more useful for him. That's the extent of the margin now between Stefan Katt in 3rd place and Martin Malik in 4th. So after Malik beat Stickau first time out, the number 86 is going to get his revenge here in heat number 5. Hinek Stickau then home for the 4 race points. 2nd place to Theo Piper after his pass from 4th to 2nd in the early stages. That relegated Stefan Katt down to 3rd. Nonetheless, 5 points from 2 rides for Katt. Single point for Martin Malik and Stanislav Berza. What a shame for him, because he showed competitively in his opening ride, heat number 2. But in his 2nd outing, run down towards turn number 1, suddenly he drops back. And from looking good in around about 3rd position, he drifts well away and could find no way back into the race from there. The action from that point on, all for 2nd place. Theo Piper getting through first on Martin Malik around the outside of turn 3, and then carrying his momentum around the outside of 4. Stefan Katt moved to block, but then went back to the mid-track line down the start-finish straight, and Piper had his wheels in line quite nicely to come through for 2nd place. Much more like it then for the Dutchman. Theo Piper takes 2nd. Hinek Stickau, also after a disappointing first ride, has good points on the board, and as you can see, the pecking order and the leaderboard very much tightening up once again after that one, heat number 5. Heat 6 and a 2nd appearance for home hero Lukas Finnhager after his from-the-back win of Heat 4. He takes his 2nd ride off Gate 2 in the blue helmet colour for this one. On the inside of him, beaten by Finnhager in that Heat 3, Jakob Bakea. He goes off Gate 1 in the red helmet colour this time around. He's on 2 points from that opening outing. 4 points then for Lukas Finnhager thus far. Gate 3 in the white helmet, looking to get his first points of the afternoon on the board here, Zach Weitneck. He failed to score in Heat 2. He was passed by Theo Piper and ended up well adrift out at the back. Gate 4 in yellow, James Shanes. He's on just a single point. It's generally been a disappointing start for the Brits this afternoon, aside from Chris Harris, who goes off the outside gate number 5 in the green helmet colour. He scored 3 points in his opening ride, beaten by Mika Meyer, but he came on strong to pass both Hinek Stickau and Martin Malik for 2nd. Chris Harris, who really has been on fire in Speedway over this last month or so. It's 15 years now since his British Grand Prix win. He has managed to recapture something of that form in 2022. Harris, who struggled on both of the German long tracks in 2019. He's never really fared well here in Muhldorf. He was 12th here in 2017, 10th in 2018. So this afternoon, a really interesting test for him. If he goes well today, then you fancy he is a real contender in this title race. Finished 3rd at the opening round of the season, of course, in Rzeszów. So points-wise, has fared well in that opening event in Poland. Here we go then for heat number 6. We come to the conclusion of the 2nd round of qualifying heat races here in Muhldorf. Tapes up for a fast track from Zach Weitneck off gate number 3. Chris Harris has made a decent one, but Lukas Finnhager is equal to him, and Finnhager is going to try and get his wheels in line here first. Coming off turn number 2, a slight lock-up from him, but he's done enough to box out Harris down the back straight, pin him up against the safety fence, and is now carrying his momentum nicely going into turn number 3. Weitneck moves to block, but doesn't move far enough, and look at Lukas Finnhager ripping it up, the dust flying as Finnhager comes through to lead at the end of the opening lap. Great ride that from Lukas Finnhager, the winner of heat number 3, as a leader again in heat number 6, looking very much back at it on what is home sand this afternoon, having struggled largely in Rzeszów and failed to make either of the finals in the opening round. Well, back now in third position is Chris Harris from Zach Weitneck, but can Harris now capitalise on the kind of move that Lucas Finnhager's just put in for the race lead? Harris is beginning to gain a little bit of ground, perhaps coming around turns 3 and 4. At the halfway stage, though, the race beginning to settle down. Fourth place for James Shanes, and Jakob Becker with no answer this time around. Put in a couple of points, beat James Shanes, of course, in heat number 3. So 3 of the riders who were in that heat back out again, such is the unusual heat programme in the Long Track World Championship. That in heat 6, 3 of them meet for a second time. Weitneck looking over his shoulder now for Chris Harris, who took second place in his opening ride, heat number 1. Looks like it's going to be third for Harris this time around. It'll move him on to 5. Lucas Finnhager is going to top the meeting score chart after the opening 2 rounds of races, unless something drastic happens to him here, because Kenneth Hansen, who was also a heat winner in heat 2, was beaten in heat 4, and Mika Meyer was likewise after his efforts in heat 1. So the only one of the opening round heat winners to take a second victory is Lucas Finnhager. 8 points out of 8 for him. Close for second place in the latter stages as Chris Harris continued to gain in ground on his fellow countryman Zach Weitneck, but eventually came up short. That's an important score for Weitneck, because after failing to pick up any points in heat 2, he comes home for 3 points in heat 6 and is straight back into contention for a place in the last chance qualifier at very least, if not the grand final itself, with 3 qualifying rides still to come, of course, for Weitneck. 2 points for Harris. That moves him on to 5. Shanes and Becker both disappointing in their opening 2 rides. Shanes with 2 fourth places, and Becker, after beating Shanes in heat 3, comes home behind him and out at the back in heat number 6. Well, the highlight of that one was an outstanding outside pass from Lucas Finnhager. Picked his way through on Stefan Katt on the final lap in heat 3. Didn't need to leave it as long as that in heat 6 as he rounds Zach Weitneck and roars away to victory that leads him top of the meeting leaderboard. Well, Finnhager scored 9 points from 5 qualifying heats in Rzeszów 2 weeks ago, and that wasn't enough to make the top 8. He's on 8 already this afternoon. Remember, the top 3 after 15 heats will transfer direct to today's grand final. The next 5 go to the last chance qualifier. So, 2 early breakaway leaders in Finnhager and Hansen. Really nothing to choose between the rest after 2 rides apiece. And the Heat 6 winner will be the favourite for Heat 7. Back-to-back outings for Lucas Finnhager, the only man so far unbeaten. He and Chris Harris both appeared last time out in Heat number 6. It's Harris who goes off the inside gate this time around for Heat 7. 5 points to his name from 2 rides. He was second behind Mika Meyer in Heat number 1. Gate 2 in blue here for the 7th race today will be Hinek Sticker, the winner of Heat 5. He's on 5 points from 2 outings. Gate 3 in the white helmet, that's Mathieu Trezaria. He last appeared in Heat 4. He's on 5 points from 2 outings. Gate 4 in yellow, Lucas Finnhager, the winner of Heats 3 and 6. And off the outside gate, it is Theo Piper. He's on 4 points from 2 rides. He was second behind Hinek Sticker when those 2 met in Heat 5. So 2 riders who met in Heat 6, Harris and Finnhager. 2 who met in Heat 5, Piper and Sticker. Piper off the outside gate, the veteran campaigner, has been on the podium in the past here in Muhldorf. That was as far back as 2005. He came close in 2019, 4th behind Mathieu Trezaria, and has looked fast over 1,000 metres in Herxheim back in May. So don't rule him out from earning another podium finish here today. Pre-race favourite for this one is Lucas Finnhager, the rider we're waiting for up at Tapes. Almost synonymous with this venue in Muhldorf, made his first full World Championship appearance as the wildcard here in 2018. His official debut appearance was a reserve outing earlier in the year, and 2019, his first season as a permanent rider. He was 6th on our last visit here to Muhldorf. Starting marshal looks to have them settled then. 3rd round of races about to get underway. Harris, Stickauer, Trezaria, Finnhager and Piper. And a poor start from Chris Harris off gate number 1. It's Stickauer who will be the first to show. Hinek Stickauer moving up to the dirt then around turns 1 and 2. Mathieu Trezaria with his wheels in line early, and the cutback will lead them down the back straight. So Trezaria takes up the lead now from Hinek Stickauer. And here comes comes Lucas Finnhager. Legs out of the back of the bike. Classic long track style from Finnhager. Hinek Stickau trying the Finnhager line around the outside now of turns 3 and 4. But he's only going backwards, and he's now coming under some pressure from Teo Piper for third. So the opening lap sees first Matteo Trezaria and then Lucas Finnhager make their way through on Hinek Stickau. The winner of heat number 5 looks decidedly vulnerable in this one. Here goes Piper now for third position, and Stickau's gone from first to fourth. So whether he has some kind of mechanical problems, either way, he doesn't have the pace that he showed last time out in heat 5. Remember, he beat Teo Piper for victory in that 5th race of the day. Piper's past him as if he's standing still. Almost goes up the back of Lucas Finnhager though at the apex of turns 3 and 4. That will bring Stickau back into the race. And while Stickau and Piper are holding one another up, Chris Harris is beginning to gain ground on the pair of them. Swings wide coming out of turn 2, looking for extra grip and extra speed. Didn't seem to work out too well for Harris, but he is the man with the pace over the last lap or so, beginning to gain in ground on Piper and Stickau. And we saw in Rzeszów, he's not afraid of a last lap effort where necessary. Here goes Harris with the wide outside, goes all the way around Hinek Stickau, who's gone from first to last in this race in the space of 3 laps. Now has Harris got time to mount an attack on Teo Piper. Where is Chris Harris going? Right out to the fence, coming off turn number 2. Gets his wheels in line. He's got the cutback. He's got the momentum down the back straight, but I don't think he's got the time to mount that attack. And Teo Piper should be able to hold on now for third position. Here goes Harris again, reaching for the dirt. But as I say, he's just going to run out of time here. Only a kilometre lap here in Muhldorf. And Teo Piper is able to hold on for third position. So it's Matteo Trezaria who wins heat 7. Put 4 points on the board for the first time here this afternoon. Second to Lucas Finnhager, his first defeat of the day. Just didn't have the pace to match Matteo Trezaria once he was behind him. He did have enough speed though to pick off Hinek Stickau, and that was what heat 7 was all about. Stickau making the fast start. He was the first to show going into turn 1 and then gradually dropping backwards and ending up in last position. The only other change in the offing was a late attack from Chris Harris, but it was too late an attack, and Teo Piper held on for the 2 race points. So the result of heat 7 in full. The first win of the meeting for Matteo Trezaria. He moves on to 9. Second going the way of Lucas Finnhager. Still top of the meeting standings on 11. 2 points for Teo Piper to move him on to 6. The same score as Chris Harris from 3 outings. And Hinek Stickau, after a victory in round 2, fails to score in round 7 from 0 to 0. Heat 8, and Romano Hummel is the first rider up at Tapes, the winner of Heat 4, looking to make it back-to-back victories and make up for his non-scoring first ride. It was back to business as usual for him last time out, and what a relief that is after his mechanical problems in Rzeszów 2 weeks ago, because Hummel in full flight really is great to watch. Heat 8 in full then, off the inside gate in red will be Stefan Katt. The meeting wildcard is on 5 points from 2 rides. Second place first time out, and a third behind Stickau and Piper in Heat 5. Gate 2 in blue, and alongside him, Mika Mayer, the winner of Heat 1. He's on 5 points from 2 rides, subdued last time out in Heat 4. Gate 3, Romano Hummel, 4 points from 2 outings, failed to score first time out, but bounced back with that Heat 4 victory. Gate 4 in yellow for Zach Weiknecht. He likewise failed to score in his opening ride. Second place for Weiknecht behind Lucas Finnhager in Heat 6, so he's on 3 points. Off the outside gate, Stanislav Berza made a fast start in Heat 2, but a poor run to the first turn in Heat 5 saw him fail to score, so he's got a bit of catching up to do on 2 points from 2 rides. Important race this for Stanislav Berza, who remember was the runner-up at the opening round of the season in Rzeszów. Stefan Katt looking for his first race victory of the afternoon. He came close in his opening ride, of course, just beaten by Lucas Finnhager in the latter stages. I mentioned at the top of the programme he's been on form in open meetings. He won in Hechthausen the day after Rzeszów to add to podiums in other open meetings in Ludinghausen and Osnabrück in 2022. Very much back on form is Stefan Katt, and hopefully we get to see the 3 times German champion at the top of his game later on this afternoon. Starting marshal has them settled then for heat number 8. Riders looking down at the magnets. Takes rise eventually after a long hold. Hammer away. Zach Weitneck with a good jump off gate number 4. Berza with a decent run down to the first turn this time around. Stefan Katt, though, is the first to show on the inside, to the delight of the fans here in Muhldorf, and the home man accelerates away coming off turn number 2. He's going to come under pressure now from Zach Weitneck, who clearly has plenty of momentum. So too does Romano Hummel. If Weitneck doesn't clear Katt quickly here, he's in danger from the Dutchman behind. Cut back off turn 4 from Zach Weitneck. Sweeping into the action as well, Romano Hummel. All 3 riders very much in the mix here, and Mika Meyer is not too far adrift either in 4th place. Berza relegated to the back. The race is for the lead. Katt goes square coming off turn 2. Weitneck with his wheels in line. Zach Weitneck powers through to hit the front, and Romano Hummel will follow him. And Stefan Katt has gone from 1st to 3rd in the matter of 1 turn. Katt now back on the outside line. Is he going to try and square it off turns 3 and 4? Weitneck committing fully to the outside line. He's hoping to build his momentum up enough there to accelerate away from Hummel. Hummel, though, with the inside line, pulls level. Going for a tear off is Weitneck. At the start of another lap, he goes to the outside line. He's committed now to that line. Wide outside, Weitneck needs to make it work. He pulls alongside Hummel again coming off turn 2. Hummel now moves to block, and Weitneck is relegated down to 2nd place. And I think it's going to be hard for the Brit to recover the lead from there. He's going to give it a good go, though, around the outside line. There's some great racing in this one, heat number 8. Cut back now from Weitneck. Hummel doesn't know which way to look. He looks over his right shoulder. Weitneck actually on his left-hand side. Now goes to the outside again on turns 1 and 2. But with every passing turn, the shorter distance is paying dividends for Romano Hummel. And I think this one is now settled down. Romano Hummel set to make it back-to-back victories. Zach Weitneck's going to have 2 second places in a row. Much more like it for him after a failure to score from the inside gates in heat number 2. That outside line, though, starting to generate some pace. And if it works for Weitneck in the remainder of this meeting, he could really have something to say about the places in the grand final. Romano Hummel moves on to 8 points with back-to-back victories. Perfect way to respond after a failure to score first time out. And if you thought that his struggles from Rzeszów were going to continue on throughout 2022, then Hummel has put paid to that notion with those 2 victories. Heat 4 and Heat 8 both going his way, but that race in particular was hard fought. Zach Weitneck keeping him very honest throughout, and Stefan Katt emerging in front of the pair of them in the early stages. Did Katt make a misjudgment moving off the line off turn 2? Certainly gave the impetus to Zach Weitneck. His cutback followed through by Romano Hummel, and then Hummel sticking to that inside line throughout and making it work, finding enough grip down low to come through for the race victory. Hummel then with 2 race wins now on the board. 2 second places for Zach Weitneck. Hummel on 8, Weitneck on 6. 2 points for Stefan Katt, consistent scorer. He's on 7 points now from 3 rides. Single point eventually going to Stanislav Berza, and that's bad news for Mika Meyer. So with Lucas Finnhager defeated for the first time in Heat 7, an opportunity for Kenneth Hansen to move joint top of the meeting leaderboard. Dropped a single point to Romano Hummel in Heat 4. He's looking for a win then to move level with Finnhager on 11 points here. Hansen, the winner of Heat 2, goes off the inside gate for Heat 9. Gate 2, and alongside him it's Charlie Powell, so far scoreless from his first appearances in Heats 1 and for his World Championship debut. Gate 3 in white for Martin Malik. He's on 3 points from 2 rides, and I must admit that after his Herxheim heroics, I expected him to perform somewhat better than that this afternoon. Gate 4 in yellow for Jakob Bakea. 2 points scored in his opening ride, failed to score last time out in Heat 6. And off the outside gate in green, it's James Shanes, 2 4th places to his name for 2 points amassed over Heats 3 and 6. Shanes will be the first to admit that Muhldorf isn't really a track that suits his style. He was only 12th here on his last visit, but he did make the final here in 2018, so he can at least have some sort of optimism of getting a result this afternoon that would kickstart his 2022 campaign. Remember, he finished down in 10th in the opening round in Rzeszów. He was 11th in the world standings in 2021. James Shanes then with 2 points from 2 rides thus far is going to be in need of points in his coming races to get himself into the top 8 and secure a place in at least the last chance qualifier. Of course, the chances of making it through direct to the grand final inside the top 3 looking remote with only 2 points from 2 outings. Kenneth Hansen just turning away from the tapes. The riders, of course, are on a clock, but they are taking their time with this one, that's for sure. Starting marshal beginning to get a little impatient, pointing to the inside gate and to the clock for Hansen. But he seems happy enough just to hang back for the moment at least. Right, he's now into position. We're just about ready to go. Last of the round 3 heat races. Hansen, Powell, Malik, Bakea and Shanes for this one. Starting Marshall moves into position. Riders looking down at the magnets. Long hold and we're eventually ready to go. James Shanes with a jet-propelled getaway from that seemingly favourable Gate 5 position. But it's Kenneth Hansen who's the first to show. Shanes tries to carry his momentum with the cutback. Oh, the rider in white going down, Martin Malik, and heavily. And Martin Malik going down on the exit of turn number 2. And bear in mind the speeds on a circuit like this one. The race continuing for the moment at least. But the starting marshal has put the red flags out. So Malik getting back up to his feet and walking away, but the start marshal waving the red flag and the riders are passing him. The race continuing on at speed. All sorts of confusion reigning here in Heat 9. Malik down on the exit of turn 2. I suspect that the referee didn't want to stop that one, and the starting marshal has prejudged what might be about to happen and waved the red flag. But certainly Kenneth Hansen continuing on, and great speed at the head of this field. I wonder whether Hansen had already passed the starting marshal before he started to wave the red flag. It was all a little bit confused, and must admit I didn't catch the glance of that first time around. Well, Hansen well on his way towards the 4 race points. Bakea looks like being one of the beneficiaries of that opening lap drama. He's up in second position. The rider's well strung out, and presumably that's partly because of the speed of Kenneth Hansen, but also because of that red flag being shown. Hansen then ahead of Bakea, and then it's James Shanes, and Charlie Powell will be set to score a point for the first time at World Championship level after the fall for Martin Malik on lap number 1. Chaotic Heat 9, which is pretty unfortunate and a shame, particularly for the riders who passed that red flag coming down the start-finish straight, which was at least one of them, I think 2, potentially 3 of them. But Kenneth Hansen coming out of the final turn then will take the race victory. It's his second of the day. It will level things up alongside Lucas Finhager. But mesmeric level of confusion there on the opening lap as Lucas Finhager sees his 11-point total equalled. Back up to his feet now, Martin Malik is able to ride the bike away, which is good news because it was a heavy fall, an unusual one. Looked like he lost his left hand off the handlebars coming off turn 2. Malik going down. So Hansen winning that one ahead of Bakea in second, and Shanes in third, with Powell collecting the consolation point. Well, after that red flag was waved, and in the interests of fairness, the meeting referee has brought the riders back for a restaging of Heat 9, which for me is the right decision because that really was a pretty messy race in the end. It will be restaged without Martin Malik, who was not the cause of a stoppage, of course, was out of the running. Again, a common sense decision from referee Powell. Good news for James Shanes, who has a second chance. Not quite such good news for Jakob Bakea, who has probably felt that he was pleased enough to put 3 points on the board at the first time of asking. Bakea making his first visit to Muhldorf. Certainly has got plenty of laps in throughout 2022, though, as he and his fellow countryman Kenneth Hansen tried to get to grips with the long track discipline. Bakea back in action last weekend with an excellent third place at the European Grass Track Semi in Holsted. After today's meeting, his focus will turn to the Long Track Challenge in 10 days' time as he bids to qualify for a place in the 2023 World Championship. Round 2 of the 2022 World Championship and the restaging of Heat 9. James Shanes making a good jump again off gate number 5, but again it's Kenneth Hansen who's the first to show. So the race so far panning out exactly as it did in the initial running. Only this time Jakob Bakea is stranded down in 4th position. Charlie Powell giving him a run for his money as they come down the back straight. Bakea though with the inside advantage, and Powell then backs out of it going in towards turn number 3, trying to play the outside line where the grip is at its peak. But it is also the longest route to go, and Bakea has now pulled well clear. So James Shanes capitalising on the second attempt and although he's not gaining ground on Kenneth Hansen, he'll come away with a point more than he would have if the referee had allowed the initial staging to count as the final result. Jakob Becker determined to get back up into the second place that he held after 4 laps in the initial running, and he now plies the inside line and tries to catch James Shanes unawares, and Shanes is going to have eyes in the back of his head from here on in, because Becker is now all over the back of him. Shanes leaving the door wide open going around turns 3 and 4. Again, he moves to the outside, this time on turn 2, but that works somewhat better for him, and Becker for the moment does not have the momentum or the impetus to find his way past. Hansen is away and gone. He will take the 4 race points. I think justice is done there because he did lead when Martin Malek fell and led after 4 laps in the initial running as well. The only rider who's going to feel hard done by here is Jakob Becker, and that's unless he can do something special now on the final lap. James Shanes occupying the inside line. Becker now moving up slightly wider and trying to get some momentum together to mount a late assault on James Shanes. Shanes tucked in as they come down the back straight. I think he's going to do enough here to hold it. Becker sweeps in wider going into turn 3. Is he going to be able to carry that momentum then that I've been talking about all race long? The answer is no. He's filled in by James Shanes, and the status quo is maintained throughout in the rerun of heat number 9. Kenneth Hansen taking his second race victory of the day, and he moves level with Lucas Finnhager on 11 points. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Second place, though, this time in the rerun of Heat 9, going the way of James Shanes. That moves him on to 5 points from 3 rides, and that could be vital, that extra point, in pursuit of a place in the LCQ. Jakob Becker misses out, and because of that, instead of being a point ahead of Shanes, Becker is now a point behind him. And of course, those two already met in both heats 3 and 6. So another important direct matchup between the two of them. Charlie Powell with the consolation points, his first at World Championship level. So at least he doesn't lose out on that. The only rider to lose out in the rerun is Jakob Becker. But I do think that that was the fairest course of action from Pavel Kubash and the right decision in heat number 9. Hansen breezing away, Shanes defending successfully against Becker, and Becker seeing off the lap 1 challenge of Charlie Powell to confirm the result of heat number 9. So Lucas Finnhager and Kenneth Hansen remain a step ahead of the pack. Mathieu Trezaria with the first win has moved to clear third. James Shanes and Martin Malek both outside of the transfer spots, 2 rides each remaining in the qualifying stages. All 5 riders in Heat 10 next up, looking for their first wins of the afternoon. Off the inside gate in red, it's Theo Piper, a second place in Heat 5, his best result so far. He's on 6 points. Alongside him off gate 2, the highest scorer in this quintet thus far, that's Stefan Katt. He's on 7, trapped ahead of the field in his opening ride, but was then picked off, relegated to second, his best result of the afternoon thus far. Gate 3 in white for Jakob Becker, 2 third places for a 4-point score for the Dane. Gate 4 in yellow, Stanislav Berza, 3 points from his 3 rides. And off the outside gate, a baptism of fire in the World Championship for Charlie Powell. He scored his first point last time out after a fall for Martin Malek. Important race, this one in particular for Stanislav Berza, outside of the qualification positions. And remember that he finished up in second place in the opening round of this 2022 campaign, so he could do really with qualifying inside the top 8, or he risks tumbling backwards down the pecking order. It was always going to be tough for him around a classic German 1,000-metre track for the first time, but this is a race in which he will fancy his chances of scoring some decent points. Jakob Becker on the inside of him and Charlie Powell on the outside, 2 of the lesser ranked riders certainly ahead of today's fixture. Becker, as well as Berza, making his first visit to Muhldorf, although Becker has certainly got plenty of laps in throughout 2022. He was back in action last weekend with an excellent 3rd place at the European Grass Track Semi in Holsted. After today's meeting, his focus will no doubt turn to the long track challenge in 10 days' time. Little bit of movement before the tapes went up there on heat number 10. It's worked in Stanislav Berza's favour. He is the first to show. Snakes, though, somewhat in the run towards turn 1. And the 2 pre-race favourites have now come through on him to hit the front. Stefan Katt leading the way from Theo Piper in second position. Berza now must defend 3rd place. He can't afford to drop any further back. 2 points here would move him on to 5. He'd still be within a fighting chance come his 5th programme ride in in heat number 13. He defends to the inside on the top bend with Jakob Becker still trying to find his way through on the inside. Berza is going to force Becker to go the long way round, although again Becker ducks to the inside at the start now of the second lap. And again, Berza, with that wider sweep, is able to carry his momentum into the first turn and just about drop his shoulder across the front of Jakob Becker. So the status quo from the second turn, for now at least, is maintained, and 2 races in one. Perhaps as you might have anticipated, 2 riders with plenty of experience. The all-time appearance record holder, Theo Piper, up in second position, and another of the top 10 in the all-time record, Stefan Katt, leading the way. And they are vastly more experienced at this kind of venue than Stanislav Berza in third, or Jakob Becker in fourth. Becker perhaps with slightly more laps on the longer venues than Stanislav Berza, the 44-year-old speedway convert, of course. Stuck out at the back here, Charlie Powell. It's going to be a third non-scoring ride of the day for him. But the big story in this one, Heat 10, is that Stefan Katt, making his return to the World Championship this afternoon after a couple of barren years, the 3-time German champion looks set to take his first race victory, and that really is going to delight the fans here in Muhldorf. He's stretching his lead now over Theo Piper. His wait for a first race victory of the afternoon will continue, although more consistent points being put on the board here by the Dutchman, and that's going to keep him in contention for a place at least in the last chance qualifier. But Heat 10 belongs to Stefan Katt. He moves on to 11 points from his 4th ride, and second to Theo Piper, 2 points in third for Stanislav Berza, single point for 4th for Jakob Becker. A relatively straightforward affair, that one, for Stefan Katt. He out-trapped Theo Piper, managed to get down the inside of Stanislav Berza in towards turn 1, and he led from the exit of the second bend right to the checkered flag. Theo Piper close enough to him on the opening lap, but then drifted backwards, so there was no repeat of Katt's misfortune from his opening ride when he was just picked off and denied a first race victory back in the championship by Lucas Finnhager. This time around he manages to hold firm and actually extends his lead quite dramatically in the final lap and a half or so. Race from there was for third position, and Stanislav Berza, after 1.5 laps of close pursuit from Jakob Becker, eventually consolidates that place. So he moves level with Becker on 5 points. Charlie Powell remains on a single point. Theo Piper on to 9, and Stefan Katt now 2 points clear of the Dutchman onto a double-figure score with 11. Heat 11, and Martin Malik returns to the track following his Heat 9 fall. Surprised, really, that he hasn't fared somewhat better here today. One of the 4 men of this 2022 season so far. He was certainly very impressive at the Long Track of Nations, scoring 25 points from a possible 30 during the heats, and of course a silver medal with the Czech Republic. And he was a podium finisher in the qualifier at Bielefeld as well. So enjoying a good run at present, but so far this afternoon just 3 points. And after a fall last time out, that's really hampered his chances of making it through to the last chance qualifier. Remember, 12 points were needed last time out in Rzeszów to earn a place inside the top 8. Line-up for Heat 11, Lucas Finnhager goes off the inside gate in the red helmet colour. He's well on his way to a place direct in today's grand final. He's on 11 points out of a possible 12, beaten for the first time by Trezaria last time out in Heat 7. Gate 2 in blue for James Shane, 3 points from Heat 9. He was a little bit fortunate that race was restaged, and he's moved on to 5 points from 3 outings, so still in contention at least for a place in the top 8. Gate 3 in white for Mika Meyer, one of the standout stars of this meeting because of his impressive debut in Heat 1 and a race victory. Following that, though, he's only added a single point from 2 following rides. Gate 4 in yellow for Martin Malik, as I've said, 3 points from 3 for him. And off the outside gate in green, perhaps the man who will give the closest challenge here to Lucas Finnhager. That's Trezaria, the winner of Heat 8, and a second matchup with the German joint meeting leader here. Starting marshal settling Finnhager then in. He's the last rider into position. We are now ready to go for the 11th race of the day. Tapes up. Brilliant jump from Mika Meyer again of gate number 3, but it's Trezaria who's the first away. Gate number 5 has been working well enough in the right hands, and Trezaria proves it there by blasting clear at the head of the field. Mika Meyer straight up into second position. He's under attack from Martin Malik, who looked for the cutback coming off turn 2 with his wheels in line nice and early, but could find no way past. Does rather look as though Mika Meyer is holding back the pack behind him, because the 3 riders almost queuing up at this stage and overlocking slightly there coming off turn for Mika Meyer, and that's given the run to Martin Malik to come through up into second place. And this will be comfortably Malik's best return of the day if he can remain up in second position. But now the pursuit comes from Lucas Finnhager, looking to the outside of Mika Meyer, and no doubt he's thinking that the quicker he passes the Dutchman, the better his chance of going off in pursuit of Martin Malik as well. James Shane's anonymous out at the back. Disappointing start to this race for him, and he really needed to put points on the board here. Instead, he's drifting backwards, looking wide around the outside of 3 and 4, and slipping further in arrears. The race then is for third position, and Meyer undoubtedly holding up Lucas Finnhager at this stage of the race. It's enabled Martin Malik to scamper clear, so he's going to double his meeting tally. Here goes Finnhager off turn 2 with the inside, the shorter route, and Meyer now will try to respond down the inside himself into the top bend. Finnhager's committed to the outside. Meyer tries to move across his path, but Finnhager sticks to his racing line, and with the outside momentum, that should now be enough for him to blast clear. Finnhager then consolidating third position, so a damage limitation ride from him. But after victories in his opening 2 rides in heats 3 and 6, he's going to have gone the 2 most recent outings without taking a race victory. Beaten by Mathieu Trezaria in heat 7, he's going to be beaten by Trezaria again here in heat 11, but also by Martin Malik, comfortably his best ride of the afternoon thus far. Finnhager trying out the wide outside line on 3 and 4. No doubt he will be trying to utilise that in his remaining outings here this evening. But it wasn't going to be enough on that occasion to hunt down Martin Malik, who holds on for second place. Mathieu Trezaria, with back-to-back wins, then moves joint top of the meeting leaderboard alongside Lucas Finnhager on 11. Member Kenneth Hansen moves joint top of the meeting leaderboard with Lucas Finnhager on 13. Remember, Kenneth Hansen still to come. He's on 11 points with a ride in hand that he'll use next time out in heat number 12. The action there was for third position after Martin Malik came through in fairly straightforward fashion on Mika Meyer. It was a more laborious overtake for Lucas Finnhager. Eventually he squeezes his way through down the inside around turns 1 and 2 and on the back straight, and then defends on the outside on the top bend. Meyer from there drifting backwards, but nonetheless puts another point on the board from his World Championship debut. Mathieu Trezaria and Lucas Finnhager then on to 13. Martin Malik and Mika Meyer both on to 6, and James Shanes remains on 5. That's going to leave him outside of the qualification positions ahead of the final round of qualifying heats. Kenneth Hansen, the first rider emerging from the pits for Heat 12, and a victory for him here would make him the first of our 3 automatic qualifiers to today's grand final. A strong lineup for this one, though. The only man to have lured his colours in this meeting so far, Romano Hummel, goes off the inside gate in red. Hummel, with back-to-back victories, is on 8 points, following a non-scoring first outing in Heat 3. Alongside him off gate 2 is Chris Harris. He's on 6 points, started strongly with a second place in Heat 1, but he's rather tailed off since then. Hinek Stikau, the winner of Heat 5, goes off gate 3 in white. He's only scored a single point from his other 2 rides, though, and sits on 5. Gate number 4 in yellow, it's Kenneth Hansen. He's scored 11 points out of a possible 12, looking to go back to the top of the meeting leaderboard. 13 points currently held by both Lucas Finnhager and Mathieu Trezaria. And off the outside gate in green, it's Zach Weitneck. Like his fellow countryman Chris Harris, he's on 6 points so far. Well, Weitneck, the 2019 European grass track champion, back in the final again, actually, in 2022, after qualifying via the semi-final in Holsted last weekend. Led that final before a fall on the rough grass surface, in use, of course, for the first time. And as for the sandbahns of Germany, he was Britain's top scorer in the Long Track of Nations in May. Certainly should be a contender this afternoon. Finished in 8th position in the opening round. Pre-race favourite is Kenneth Hansen, lining up directly on the inside of Zach Weitneck. Just that single defeat, already victorious in heats 2 and 9. So any doubts about whether he'd be able to perform over this 1,000-metre circuit have certainly been dispelled by those 2 victories and by an excellent start to proceedings here this afternoon. And that immediately makes him a genuine contender for this 2022 World Championship. The winner, of course, of the opening round in Rzeszów. Here we go for the last of the round 4 heat races. Romano Hummel's made a stinker off gate number 1. And the first to show is going to be Hinek Stikau. Stikau, surprisingly, off gate number 3, leads the way already once a heat winner here this afternoon. He boxes out Zach Weitneck, and Kenneth Hansen was stranded at the back there coming off turn 2 before he managed to get around the outside of Romano Hummel. Competitive line-up this one, but perhaps the pecking order has been turned on its head somewhat by Hinek Stickauer, who's hit the dirt run almost as if he's on rails now around turns 3 and 4 on the outside, trying to pull clear. Weitneck keeping up a close pursuit. Chris Harris on 6 points. Like Weitneck is sitting in 3rd position, so would slip behind his fellow countrymen in the pecking order if things stay as they are at present. But the lowest scorer of this quintet, Hinek Stickauer, is the man who is leading them at present. Weitneck has got that gap down, just a couple of bike lengths in it now as they come down the back straight and in towards turn number 3. Stickauer preferring that outside run. Will he leave himself vulnerable to an inside attack from Zach Weitneck? Harris following the tyre tracks of Stickauer, now goes for the cutback. Weitneck too with his wheels in line, makes the pass on Stickauer to lead. Harris in 3rd, still menacing, closing now on Stickauer as they come back around turns 1 and 2. Stickauer squeezes up by the fence to recover that race lead from Zach Weitneck. Great racing here at the head of the field in the 12th race of the day. Still nothing to choose between Stickauer and Weitneck after Weitneck managed to find his way through at the end of the previous lap with a cut back off turn 4. Watch for Harris up in the dirt, getting his wheels in line now off turn number 4, defending against Hummel, attacking on Weitneck, gets around the outside of him, now switches to the inside on Hinek Stickauer. Harris to go from 3rd to 1st, blocks out Hinek Stickauer. Stickauer keeps it wound on and powers back through to the front once again. Stickauer determined not to be denied, but Harris has come through. Chris Harris from 3rd to lead them will accelerate now in towards turns 3 and 4. Harris is going to win this one surely. He's powering away now. Hummel's come through on Stickauer, pulling up at the back with mechanical problems in the green helmet colour. That's Zach Weitneck, close in the run down to the line. Best race of the afternoon so far. Weitneck's going to try and keep it going to collect the consolation point. I think he's going to get picked off though by the rider in the yellow helmet colour, Kenneth Hansen. So a rather fortuitous point in the end there from Kenneth Hansen, who was never really engaged in that battle, who was picked off by Romano Hummel, having moved through for 4th position in the early stages. Hummel coming back at them, preferring the inside line. Harris as ever wide on the outside, manages to get his way through on Hinek Stickauer after Zach Weitneck initially tried and failed. And Weitneck, who at one stage was the race leader there, suffered mechanical dramas on the final 2 turns, ends up failing to score, so now needs a big ride next time out come heat number 13. Best race of the afternoon so far, little doubt about that. Hinek Stickauer determined to take his 2nd race victory of the day, and twice found his way back through on Zach Weitneck to eventually recover the race lead. But Chris Harris powering through, coming off turn 2, having built up his momentum on the outside line on the previous lap. Spectacular stuff again from Chris Harris, who wasn't afraid of doing it from behind at the opening round in Rzeszów, and is doing more of the same with his typical heroics. His 1st race victory of the afternoon, and in typical Chris Harris style as well. Dropped points for Lucas Finnhager and Kenneth Hansen in the 4th round of races mean only 4 points now cover the top 7, all of them still in contention for direct transfer spots to today's grand final. And everyone other than Charlie Powell is still in the hunt for a place in the top 8. This is going to be a close one. Heat 13 features 4 of the riders currently outside of the qualification places, and all of them therefore desperate for points. Stanislav Berza goes off the inside gate in red, 2nd at the opening round of the World Championship, to avoid tumbling back and remain in contention for the world title. He needs a big result here. It's make or break for him this Heat 13. Gate 2 in blue for Zach Weitneck. Mechanical failure last time out in Heat 12, otherwise he would have been a step closer to making it inside the top 8. He goes off Gate 2 in blue with 6 points to his name. Gate 3 in white, James Shanes. He's on 5 points after a failure to score last time out in Heat number 11. So he and Stanislav Berza both need an absolute minimum of 2 points to remain in mathematical contention, and realistically need more than that. Gate 4 in yellow, it's Chris Harris. He's on 10 points from 4 rides after his victory last time out in Heat number 12. And off the outside gate in green, Martin Malik, 2nd place in Heat 11 to keep himself in contention. He is on 6 points from his 4 rides. So Chris Harris in a different fight to the other 4 really. Just needs a single point to be guaranteed his place in the LCQ, but he'll need a minimum of 2 if he's to qualify direct to the grand final, and more than likely he'll need more than that. 2 riders on 6 points, 2 riders on 5. Chris Harris the odd one out. He is on 10, going off gate 4 in yellow. Certainly will start as the pre-race favourite after his exploits from behind and around the outside line last time out in heat number 12. Nervousness before the tapes go up here. Crucial race for Stanislav Berza in the context of his World Championship in 2022. Heat number 13. Riders looking down at the magnets and rear away. This is a decent initial jump from Stanislav Berza, but he bogs down again in the run down towards turn number 1, and it's Zach Weitnek with the whole shot. He's pursued now around the outside line by Martin Malik. Watch for Malik here. That outside line has been productive in recent races. Weitnek preferring the inside. Malik breezing alongside him now into the top bend, hunched over in classic long track style, and it's Martin Malik with a second place last time out in his most recent ride, and now a race lead in his 4th programmed outing, who might just be about to salvage his afternoon. Battle out at the back between James Shanes and Chris Harris over 3rd position. Neither Shanes nor Berza are in the places that they would need to keep their hopes of making it inside the top 8 alive. They are out at the back, and a single point for Shanes and a non-score for Stanislav Berza will not be enough, so they both need to get on terms with the riders in front of them here. Battle is joined again between Zach Weitnek and Chris Harris, who toughed it out up the front of the field with Hinek Stickau last time out in Heat 12. Harris doesn't look to be making progress here. In fact, Harris is slowing. Chris Harris pulls up and retires from 3rd position, and that gives James Shanes a lifeline. Little bit of good fortune for James Shanes here, up into 3rd place, but he's now got to defend that position against Stanislav Berza to keep his mathematical hopes this afternoon alive. Berza's almost alongside, coming off turn 2. Shanes went a little bit too far to try and find some extra speed, and he didn't find it, and Berza is now all over his back tyre. Must be practically smelling the exhaust as they come off turn number 4. Berza in close attendance now with James Shanes. This is obviously for a position in the meeting standings, if not for a position in the last chance qualifier. 7 points the absolute minimum, because that's the qualification cut-off as things stand, set by Hinek Stickau. Shanes would move alongside him with a 2-point score here, but Stickau, of course, managed a race victory in heat number 5, so that's bad news for Shanes. Berza losing ground now, and I think that's going to settle it down. So Shanes and Berza will miss out on a place in the LCQ. They may yet appear, one or both, in the consolation final for a position inside the top 10. But their afternoon as far as podium places in Muhldorf ends, as they finish out in the minor placings in that one, heat number 13. Victory for Martin Malik moves him on to 10. 9 points for Zach Weitnek, and both of those riders still in contention for a place in the LCQ. Malik dropping just a single point from his last 2 qualifying rides, and that could have just salvaged his meeting here in Muhldorf. Malik on to 10, Weitnek on to 9, Shanes on to 7, Berza on 6. Shanes and Berza won't move through to the LCQ. Chris Harris and Martin Malik in particular might well do so on 10. Strong ride there from Martin Malik, and that overtake on Zach Weitnek may well make the difference between a place in the last chance qualifier and elimination. Remember that 12 points were needed in Rzeszów to make it through inside the top 8, so Malik certainly cutting it fine by leaving it until his final 2 outings to pick up the bulk of his scoring. So Martin Malik and Zach Weitnek, they're laying down the gauntlet. Second place for Weitnek, moving him on to 9 points, and that puts him up into 8th. But he looks very vulnerable with a ride in hand for 5 of the men behind him. 3 of those line up here. Separate battle for Stefan Katt and Mattia Trezaria. They're both in contention for automatic transfer spots to the final. The other 3 of the 5 contenders for those 3 spots are out in Heat 15. So Trezaria and Katt will be setting the benchmark here for them to follow. Heat 14 off the inside gate in red. It's Mika Meyer. Nothing less than a win will do for him after he has notched 6 points from 4 rides. First time out he was victorious. He's only added 2 points since then. Gate 2 in the blue helmet colour, also looking for a win. Jakub Bakea, he's on 5 points. Remember, Weitnek currently occupies the last of those qualifying positions on 9. Gate 3 in white for Stefan Katt, 11 points from his 4 outings. A winner last time out in heat number 10. Gate number 4 in yellow, it's Mattia Trezaria. Back-to-back victories for him coming into this race. He'll start as the favourite, and if he can win it, of course, he will go direct to today's grand final. Off the outside gate in green, that's Hinek Stickau, and all eyes will rest on him here. 7 points after 4 outings. He sat in 8th position. The grade has been raised somewhat by a couple of points by Zach Weitnek, So a minimum of 2 points needed here for Hinek Stickauer. Victories needed for Mika Meyer and Jakub Bakaya. A big race in prospect, not least because with Stefan Katt and Mathieu Trezaria in the lineup, this is going to be a tough nut to crack for those two riders off the two inside gates and for the man off the outside who are desperate for big points to make it through to at least the last chance qualifier here today. A little bit of a hold before the starting marshal has them settled. Heat number 14, nervous moments for these 5 men. A good start off gate 4 from Mathieu Trezaria. Trezaria is there, but Stefan Katt is alongside him. Trezaria is going to have to go the long way round. Watch for that outside dash from Hinek Stickauer. Stickauer all the way around the outside of Trezaria and through to the front. Hinek Stickauer, who put in a brilliant race last time out in heat number 12, battling with the likes of Chris Harris and Zach Weitneck, is up at the front of the field once again, but this time can he stay there? The race is behind him. Katt through on the inside of Trezaria. Bakaya challenging now to the inside of Stickauer. Surprisingly, the 2 pre-race favourites, Mathieu Trezaria and Stefan Katt, are only dicing at the moment for third. Trezaria responds on Katt and leaves him now in his wake. It looks as though the Frenchman is clear to attack Jakub Bakaya, who sits up in second place. This will not be good enough for Bakaya to move through to the last chance qualifier. He really needs the win, but it's Hinek Stickauer who is pulling clear up at the front of the field. Wide again, Hinek Stickauer coming off turn 4. He's got to be careful going that wide because he ended up losing the race lead off that turn 4 in his previous outing. He's wide again into turn number 1, fully committed to the outside line. Bakaya and Trezaria preferring the inside, and Trezaria almost tripping over Bakaya, is clearly faster than the 2 men ahead of him, but can't find a way past. 2 points as things stand for Trezaria. That will move him on to 15, certainly in contention for a place in today's grand final, benefiting from the fact that 3 of the other contenders will all meet next time out. But Trezaria still has an opportunity to improve his gate choice for today's grand final as he challenges into the final act. 3 riders here in the mix. Stickauer on the outside. Bakaya pops through on the inside to lead. Stickauer should have the momentum now coming off turn 2, but he doesn't. Bakaya with his wheels in line, and Stickauer then locks up, and Jakub Bakaya leads the way. And Stickauer's now going to be passed by Mathieu Trezaria down the back straight. Trezaria with one final attack on Jakub Bakaya. He's picked off the fading Hinek Stickauer. Will he get to Bakaya in time? He tries to get his wheels in line coming off the final turn. It's going to be close. Jakub Bakaya wins heat 14. Surprise result there. He was on just 5 points from 4 rides, and he's almost doubled that tally to finish on 9, and importantly with a race victory to boot. And that's the one thing that Zach Weitneck, who's finished on 9, did not manage over the course of his meeting programme. Hinek Stickauer will also move on to 9, so it's going to be very close for the last of those qualification positions, with Stickauer, Bakaya and Weitneck all finishing on 9 points. Martin Malek then is confirmed for the last chance qualifier on 10, but as I say, it couldn't have been much closer than that behind him. Good racing for the first position. Hinek Stickauer passed by 2 men in the closing stages, and that could cost him very dearly indeed. The win then goes to Jakub Bakaya. He was delighted, and justifiably so, to finish on 9 heat points. Mathieu Trezaria with second. That should be enough for a place in the grand final for him. Hinek Stickauer is denied once again. That outside line that generates so much speed, not quite enough for him to hold on for a second race victory of the afternoon. So it's all down to Theo Piper in Heat 15. Jakub Bakaya and Hinek Stickauer, each on 9 points, have both been race winners. Zach Weitneck now out of contention for a place in the last chance qualifier. But Theo Piper, also on 9, only needs a single point to make it through. The struggling Charlie Powell goes off the inside here, so that should be a mere formality. Mathieu Trezaria is through to the grand final, but 2 of the men in this race should join him. Lucas Finhager sits on 13, Kenneth Hansen on 12, and Romano Hummel on 11. So it all comes down to Heat 15 for the qualifying positions for today's grand final and for the LCQ. It's Charlie Powell off the inside gate in red. He's yet to beat an opponent, a single point to his name. Gate 2 in blue, it's Theo Piper. He's the man under pressure. 2 second places, the best of his results. He's been picking up points consistently though. He's on 9, the same score as Jakub Bakaya and Hinek Stickauer, but with a crucial ride in hand. Gate 3 in white is with Kenneth Hansen. Started so strongly with wins in in Heats 2 and 9. Faded last time out in Heat 12 with only a single point. He's on 12. Gate 4 in yellow, that's Romano Hummel. He's come on strong after a first ride blip. He's dropped just a single point from his 3 rides since then. And off the outside gate in green, the darling of the home fans here in Muhldorf, winner of Heats 2 and 6, Lucas Finhager. He's on 13. So it is close for those transfer spots to today's grand final. Second opportunity, of course, in the last chance qualifier. 5 riders with only 2 of them making it through. And clearly you want to avoid the possible risk of elimination and guarantee yourself a place in the top 5. That's what 3 of the men in this race will be looking for here. Heat number 15 goes, tapes up, and it's Theo Piper who's the first away off gate number 2. The one man who needs to be clear of any dramas in this race, who just needs the single point to move through to the last chance qualifier, leads them early on. Trying to go the long way round now in the green helmet colour is Lucas Finhager. Finhager is the second man to race lead. Piper will accelerate across his path going into the top turn. Will Finhager try to go the long way round, or will he look for the cutback? Well, if he looks for the cutback, he's going to find Romano Hummel in his path. Hummel's come through and moved Theo Piper out of the way. Finhager still can't quite come through on Piper, and now that's a race for second as Romano Hummel leads at the end of the opening lap. Piper and Finhager both well and truly in contention, and Finhager now through on Piper for second place. And if things stay as they are at present, it's going to be Kenneth Hansen who misses out on automatic qualification to the grand final. A man who, remember, won the opening round of this 2022 World Championship is going to have to do it the hard way if he wants to make back-to-back finals in 2022. Finhager still defending against Theo Piper, who is menacing from third position. Strong ride from him. He's going to score 2 points if things stay as they are at present. That will be enough to put him through to the last chance qualifier. Not much of a choice for starting positions, but he won't mind too much about that. Finhager gaining a little bit of ground in the latter stages on Romano Hummel, but I think that the young Dutchman and the reigning world champion has enough in hand to hold on ahead of the man he took over that mantle from. It is going to be Romano Hummel into the latter stages who will surely claim the 4 race points here. This race settling down, and good job too after some of the frenetic activity we have had in recent heats, and it's going to settle down as a win for Romano Hummel, who will go through to today's grand final as the 3rd seed, and Lucas Finhager will take second position. 2 points ahead of Kenneth Hansen, who is down in 4th position here. Lucas Finhager will tie things up at the top of the meeting leaderboard with Trezaria in the battle for first choice of starting positions as he comes over the line for second place. Third in the end to Theo Piper. That is enough for him to march on to the last chance qualifier. And he also claims the scalp of Kenneth Hansen. Mystifying lack of pace in the Danes' 2 most recent rides, dropping points in Heat 12 and Heat 15 after a strong start to proceedings. Charlie Powell was never going to be able to live with the pace of the front runners in that one, and his meeting score chart ends with him down in 15th place on a single heat point. But it's all about the battle for those qualification places, and it's Piper who makes it through to the last chance qualifier. That will eliminate both Jakob Bakaya and Hinek Stickau, as well as Zach Weitneck, who all finished on 9. Piper 2 points clear of them on 11. And in that race, there was also a 3-rider scrap for the last 2 spots in today's grand final. And those go to Romano Hummel, the Heat 15 winner, the man who finished directly behind him, Lucas Finhager. Good racing once again. Hummel's inside line paying dividends, seeing him pass both Finhager and Piper at the end of the opening lap to win it. A heat winner piece for Jakob Bakaya and Hinek Stickau means they will at least get to ride again in the consolation final. The afternoon is over for the unlucky Zach Weitneck, for James Shanes, for debutants Mika Mayer and Charlie Powell, and importantly in the context of the championship, Stanislav Berza, who's restricted to 14th and just 2 championship points. So with one of the opening round's podium trio already eliminated, 2 more are in danger here. It's the last chance qualifier. Only 2 spots up for grabs in the final. The other 3 will go again in the consolation final. So that means this man, Kenneth Hansen, the championship leader, is in desperate need of a result from this one, as is Chris Harris, the 2 men to watch off the 2 outside gates. Look at the lineup in full then for the last chance qualifier of the inside gate in red. That will be Theo Piper. He finished second place from that starting position back in heat number 10. He qualified through as the 7th seed, directly ahead of Martin Malik in the heat point standings. Alongside Piper of gate number 2, fellow veteran Stefan Katt, the meeting wildcard winner of heat 10, was in contention for a place direct to today's grand final until he dropped points last time out in heat 14. Gate 3 white, Martin Malik, biggest recovery story of anyone. He had only scored 3 heat points from the opening 3 rides of his day after a fall in heat 9. He's picked himself up out of the dirt and dropped just a single point from 2 rides since then to take the last of the qualification positions by a single heat point. Just turning away from the tapes there in the yellow helmet colour, it's Chris Harris of Great Britain. Performed sensational exploits in Heat 12 to take his first race victory of the afternoon, getting around the outside and through on Zach Weitneck and Hinek Stickauer for that victory. And it turned out to be vital because he retired with mechanical problems from a scoring position in 3rd in Heat 13 and therefore only made it through by a single point. Kenneth Hansen goes off the outside in green, the top scorer of this quintet during the heat stages. But of course that all counts for nothing at this stage. It's a straightforward scenario. Knockout from here on in. Last chance qualifier. Top 2 going to today's grand final. There's movement before the tapes go up. Martin Malik and Chris Harris both looked as though they were moving. And Malik is the man to have missed out. He's last of the first turn. Stefan Katt the first to show. He claims the whole shot. Kenneth Hansen around the outside on turns 1 and 2 into second. He's in the place he needs to march on to today's grand final and have a chance of extending his lead at the top of the World Championship standings. Chris Harris buzzing around on his tail though, and anyone who's ever been ahead of Chris Harris knows that he will not give in, and Chris Harris, although he is beginning to drop back on this opening lap, is not to be counted out. 4th position as things stand for Theo Piper, and Martin Malik hitting problems out at the back as Stefan Katt at the head of the field defends now against Kenneth Hansen. Hansen looks to have the pace advantage. They're nose to tail as they come in towards turn number 3. Hansen building his speed up high and wide, and Hansen's going to have so much momentum coming off the 4th turn. Katt moves to block. Hansen then with the cutback. He'll have the inside in towards turn number 1. Katt's done well to defend that position, and Hansen's going to have to try and build up his momentum all over again now on the outside of turns 1 and 2. Hansen can't afford to be held back behind Stefan Katt here because Chris Harris is still close to his tail, but equally Hansen can't afford to lose ground trying to make the pass on Katt again because Chris Harris is still menacing. Here goes Hansen again for the outside line on turns 3 and 4 again. Katt will move to block. Hansen locks up to try and get his wheels in line. He scrubbed off a lot of his speed there, cost himself a lot of ground, and now the man with the momentum is Chris Harris, who was speedy on the outside line at the end of lap number 3, who's on the outside again at the start of lap 4, down to the inside now off turn number 2, just a bike length in it as they come towards the top bend for the final time. Stefan Katt has escaped away. He's going to book his return to a grand final in the Long Track World Championship, but here comes Chris Harris. Oh, Harris almost off the bike. Harris with the momentum, and Harris with second place. Chris Harris has done it off the final turn. Once again, just as in Jezhov, Chris Harris will not be denied in the run to the line, and Kenneth Hansen, the winner of the opening round of this 2022 World Championship, will have to go to the consolation final to try for, at best, 6th position. His hopes of back-to-back podiums are ended by an inspired ride from Chris Bomber Harris of Great Britain, picking off Kenneth Hansen off the final turn. I thought he was going to lose it altogether. Harris going for absolute broke on the outside, turns back, gets his wheels in line, and in the drag race to the finish just pips Kenneth Hansen. So Hansen, Piper and Martin Malik, who retired out at the back, will go again in the consolation final. But Stefan Katt, to the delight of the home fans, and Chris Harris, after another final lap attack, will be marching on to today's grand final. Well, I did say that Kenneth Hansen was constantly at risk there while he was in second place. He looked on a couple of occasions as though he had the momentum to make the pass on Stefan Katt, preferring the cutback though off turn 4, and Katt on each occasion was able to hold on. Then around the final 2 turns, Hansen went conservative, and that was all the invitation Chris Harris needed to come through for the qualification place to today's grand final. So it's damage limitation now for the 5 riders on show. It's the consolation final. World Championship points awarded here, 11 to the winner. The rider who finishes at the back will only receive 7. So this is an important one, not least because the championship leader, Kenneth Hansen, is out again, with 2 riders, Mathieu Trezaria and Chris Harris, both well placed to pass him in the standings. Hansen goes off the outside, a starting position that he selected as the top seed following his 3rd place finish in the last chance qualifier. Off the inside gate, it's Hinek Stickauer, 9th in the championship with 8 points from the opening round in Rzeszów. He was 10th seed from the heat stages, just about got there on countback ahead of Zach Weitneck. Gate 2 in blue will be Theo Piper, 6th at the opening round. He won the consolation final, so 11 championship points for the Dutchman. He was 4th in the LCQ. Gate 3 in white, I'm sure just delighted to be there, Jakob Bakea. He was 9th in the heats after a victory in his 5th outing. Only scored 4 championship points at the opening round, so he's guaranteed to improve on that. Gate 4 in yellow, Martin Malik, 5th in the championship standings, so this is an important race for him. 13 points to his name. He retired from the last chance qualifier with mechanical difficulties. And Kenneth Hansen, certainly the pre-race favourite, the winner of the opening round, is on 21 World Championship points, but he missed out only narrowly in the last chance qualifier on a place in the grand final, and he will be keen to amass as many points as possible here. Takes up on the consolation final. Kenneth Hansen has claimed the whole shot. Good start as well from his fellow countryman Jakob Bakea. The inside advantage is with Theo Piper, and he takes the shortest route around the first 2 turns to hit the front. The momentum now, though, will be with Kenneth Hansen, and Hansen breezes through as if Piper is standing still down the back straight. And we saw in his opening 2 rides the kind of speed that Kenneth Hansen has. He took heat number 2, he took heat 9 as well. He's faded as this meeting has gone on, but it does look as though he's going to get exactly what there is in the title, some consolation in the penultimate race of the day as he leads it. Scrapping for a championship point out at the back, the rider in red, Hinek Stickauer, and yellow, Martin Malik, the 2 Czechs. And at the moment, it's Malik who has the advantage on the inside line. And Jakob Bakea will be absolutely delighted with how this race has panned out, because he's set to gain another couple of places in the meeting standings. If he stays where he is at present, of course, this will be worth 8th position on the afternoon. A highly creditable display from Jakob Bakea in the latter stages of the match. When the event has got to its business end, Jakob Bakea has certainly come on strong. And in fact, he's now beginning to close down Theo Piper for 2nd position in this race. That's 7th in the meeting standings. It's worth 10 World Championship points as opposed to 9 if he stays where he is at present for 8th in the meeting. Bakea, though, fading on that top turn as Piper begins to settle this race down. So it doesn't look like there's going to be too much change from here on in. And Kenneth Hansen, with a victory, will move on to 32 championship points. So 11 here today in this consolation final. Oh, problems for Martin Malik, who pulls up from a scoring position. He's going to be picked off by Hinek Stickauer, so Stickauer will gain an extra World Championship point from that. He'll take 9th position in the meeting classifications, 2nd consecutive mechanical retirement for Martin Malik. And that's going to leave him with 7 championship points from today's meeting, compared to 13 for 5th place in the final. This time it is 5th place in the consolation final, so 10th position on the afternoon for Martin Malik. So I was just saying that Kenneth Hansen has managed to bank 11 championship points with a damage limitation ride there. He breezed through on Theo Piper coming off turn 2. The action from there on in was behind him, a scrap for 4th position out at the back that looked to have been settled down by Martin Malik until he retired in the latter stages. So Malik restricted to 5th place and 10th in the meeting for 7 championship points. Those points for Malik move him on to 20, and he's passed in the championship standings by Theo Piper, whose 10 points put him on to 21. That's the same score now as Stanislav Berza. Kenneth Hansen's 11 points, meanwhile, moving him on to 32, and his series lead vulnerable in today's grand final to Mathieu Trezaria and Chris Harris. Those are the 2 men who've made both finals in 2022 thus far. Harris, the only man with a chance of back-to-back podiums after finishing in 3rd at the season opener in Rzeszów. First choice of starting position for this grand final went to Trezaria, the top seeds through from the heat stages, both on 16 heat points, but Trezaria beat Lucas Finnhager when the pair met, both in heat 7 and 11. So first choice of gate positions to Trezaria, he's gone for gate 5. Second seed to the grand final, Lucas Finnhager, he goes for gate 4 and wears the yellow helmet colour. Third seed from the heat stages, Romano Hummel, and he's gone for gate 1. So a completely different approach for Hummel, and that inside gate position has not done particularly well over the last couple of rounds, so that comes as something of a surprise. Hummel himself was beaten from that gate position back in heat number 12. The fourth seed to the grand final, Stefan Katt, won the last chance qualifier. He makes his first grand final appearance since 2017, the wildcard just turning away from the tapes. And the field is completed by Chris Harris, who goes off gate 3 in a white. He had no choice of starting position, having qualified second in the last chance qualifier. But just to make it to this stage, an achievement for him. And after finishing third in the opening round of this 2022 campaign, making it to a second grand final of the season at a venue where he'd never previously finished higher than 10th is some achievement. So it's Romano Hummel off the inside gate in red. Single World Championship point to his name. 15th and last at the season opener in Rzeszów. Nothing to lose for Stefan Katt. He's the wild card, so he can really throw everything at this for the race victory. Chris Harris, best placed of the World Championship contenders, lining up in this one, third in the standings on 17. Lucas Finnhager bouncing back well from a first round disappointment. He's on 5. Trezaria trails Chris Harris coming into this race by just 2. Tapes up on the grand final. Harris is the first away, but he bogs down in the run towards turn 1, and it's Stefan Katt who's the first to show on the inside. Around him now comes Trezaria, could break the hearts of the Muhldorf faithful here, because Lucas Finnhager is stranded out at the back. Finnhager down in 5th position, and Stefan Katt's chances of victory have taken a major knock now, with Trezaria, top seed from the heat, accelerating away at the head of the field, and Katt looks vulnerable to the 2 men behind him here. Romano Hummel on the inside, and Chris Harris on the outside. Harris playing that wide line that saw him through, remember, in the last chance qualifier to such great success, and he now comes blasting through on Romano Hummel for 3rd position. Next in his sights is Stefan Katt, and Harris is making ground all the time. It's into this unusually shaped turn 3 that Chris Harris is finding a bulk of his momentum, and look at the speed he carries around the outside line here. Katt will move to block. Harris has the cutback. Harris will draw alongside. Is he quite able to get the move done in towards turn number 1? I think Stefan Katt has successfully defended it across the path of Harris. Harris will know that Katt has generally preferred the inside line. Oh, he almost comes off the bike again there, coming off turn 2, Harris, as he gets the cut back and through on Stefan Katt. He was so much faster than the German, that was just a matter of time. But has he got time now to go after Trezaria for the race win? I don't think so. So the race from here could be for 3rd position. Stefan Katt and Romano Hummel, who have both preferred the inside line generally over the course of this afternoon, tussling for 3rd place. Hummel looks the inside of Katt back into turn 1. Katt defends it. Hummel now reaches up to the outside to try and build up some momentum, and he's found some. It's going to be a race around turns 3 and 4 now. Look at Romano Hummel go! Last position, stone last in Rzeszów in the opening round of the season. He's going to bounce back with a place on the podium, ripping the heart out of Stefan Katt on the final 2 turns. Katt comes back at him. Drag race now down to the line for 3rd position. It's tight, but Hummel gets there, and Stefan Katt is relegated to 4th position. Oh, what a tough finish to that grand final for Stefan Katt, who made the jump off gate number 2, who was passed by Trezaria coming off turn 2, who couldn't fend off the sheer speed of Chris Harris, who was through for 2nd place, and then who loses out to Romano Hummel on the final lap. Katt didn't give in, tried to come back through around turns 3 and 4 for the final time, but Hummel knew enough to hold on for a place on the podium. And as I said, during that race, the man who finished 15th and last in round 1 comes up with a place on the podium at round 2. So Hummel back to form, Finnhager back to form, making the grand final here today, but he unfortunately made no impression, whereas Chris Harris once again certainly did. Squeezed in by the skin of his teeth to that grand final, but he's made good use of it. Second position for Chris Harris here today, and after retiring in Heat 13, he was staring potential elimination in the face, but he has bounced back with a second place in the LCQ, second in the grand final, and he will leave as the joint championship leader. Yes, that's right. It is 19 championship points today for Chris Harris, added to the 17 he scored in round one. 21 championship points for Matteo Trezaria, and they now move him level with Chris Harris at the top of the series leaderboard. 36 points apiece for those two. Kenneth Hansen only 4 points back despite not making the grand final today. His victory from Zhezhov carrying him into those top three places. He sits on 32. Then a bit of a gap to the rest of the field from Theo Piper and Stanislav Berza on 21 and Martin Malik on 20 down. Riders who I mentioned previously, of course, Romano Hummel and Lucas Finhager now finding their way up into 7th and 8th positions respectively. Matteo Trezaria, with only the 5th grand final victory of his career, will leave Muhldorf as joint championship leader alongside Chris Harris. So it's time for our trophy presentations with the 3 podium finishers of the second final of the 2022 FIM Long Track World Championship. Starting with the man who has finished in 3rd position here this afternoon. The reigning world champion Romano Hummel claims the 6th podium of his career, and how sweet that's going to taste after such a frustrating opening round with all sorts of mechanical problems. He bounces back today, 17 championship points on the board to move up into 7th position overall, and although he's only on half the score of Trezaria and Harris, to at least give himself a fighting chance of taking the fight to the remainder of this series. Second place today for Chris Harris. Found his way through on Stefan Katt. An honourable mention for Katt, who came as close as you like to returning to the podium and was just denied in the latter stages by Romano Hummel. But Harris had already made his way through, just left it too late though to close down Matteo Trezaria. Nonetheless, 3rd podium of his career, his first back-to-back podiums and his best result yet in the FIM Long Track World Championship. He leaves at 3rd distance of this 2022 season as joint series leader with this man, Matteo Trezaria of France. He was 3rd here in 2017, 2018 and 2019, and he's got the monkey off his back in Muhldorf. Only the 5th victory of his career. He's had 24 podiums now, but only 5 of them converted into wins. So this is going to be a very special moment indeed for Matteo Trezaria. Our podium trio then, Trezaria, Harris and Hummel. Romano Hummel, that's more like the title defence we were expecting in 2022, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a much better day than the day in Poland, because we had so much problems in Poland, and yeah, we fixed now everything on the bikes and just new engines, and yeah, it's worked.
I think that the podium place was a fair reward in the end for your efforts over the course of the afternoon as a whole, but you had to work hard to make a pass to get on the podium. Right in the run to the line, it was very close. Talk us through that final.
Yeah, you know, the 2 outside gates are the best in the final, and yeah, I have no choice to make that, so I choose for red. And yeah, I know when I had a good start to take outside, but no chance, because I had also a bad start, and yeah, and then I have to work hard to get back in position, and yeah, we managed that.
Now, obviously you had points to make up after the opening round in Zhezhov. You've made up some points by getting onto the podium here today. Are you thinking in the context of the championship as a whole, or after Zhezhov, are you just thinking round by round now to try and make sure you're on the podium for the rest of the season?
Yeah, that is what we do, because everybody can have some damage on a bike, so we have to look at from round, and yeah, just make fun and stay healthy and no crashes. That is better.
Many congratulations on your podium today, and we look forward to seeing what you can do in the remaining 2/3 of the campaign.
Thank you. See you next time.
Chris Harris, back-to-back podiums for you at the start of this 2022 campaign, and joint championship leader on series points as well. So I think you'll be quite satisfied with how you leave Germany after round 2.
I am, yeah, especially with the day we've had. We've had bike problems. We had to change to the second bike, and then one of my rides, the dirt got in the carb, and it was just it was a tough day, but you know, we battled away, managed to get into the final and get that second, which was a great feeling.
You're trying to make sure that all of the highlight clips are about you, I think, this season. Another bit of hard graft in the last chance race to just nick the position that you needed, battling your way through a few times, probably more times than you wanted, I think, this afternoon.
Yeah, I got close a few times to that fence. A few times I couldn't see the fence because I was outfielding from the guy in front. But yeah, I managed to brave it out and managed to get around and get up to second, so I'm pleased with that.
That mechanical failure very much threatened to derail your afternoon because up until that point you were looking good to move through in fairly straightforward fashion. That mechanical drama, again, making you have to dig deep, but to get up on the podium, you've done what you came to do.
Yeah, centre tries, I guess, but yeah, managed to keep my cool after a couple of 5 minutes of stress, but yeah, managed to set myself down and concentrate on the job in hand.
Many congratulations. We look forward to seeing your battle with Mathieu and the others over the remainder of the campaign.
Cheers, thank you.
Mathieu Trezaria, winner once again in the Long Track World Championship, the second final of the season, and most importantly, in a meeting in which your rivals were all taking points off one another as well. So puts you in a really good position in the context of the championship as a whole.
Yeah, of course, it's always good to win. So yeah, pretty happy with that. You know, all the riders are good here. You know, in the long track World Championship. So yeah, just concentrate and try my best, and yeah, it was good for me to win today.
We're only 2 rounds into the season, so very early to start thinking in the context of the year as a whole, but we saw you in excellent form in Herxheim, practically nobody beating you until the grand final. We've seen you make the final in Rzeszów, we've seen you make the final and then win the final today, so almost a perfect start to the season for you.
Yeah, at Rzeszów I have a good feeling on the start, but I was a little bit illness, you know, and at the end I was tired, and I don't feel really good, you know, not really fit at the end, so I just, you know, give up just a little bit to make just some points because I was not very well. Yeah, Herxheim is, you know, I love this track, it's my favorite track, so I always feel good on this. And Muhldorf is not my favorite track. It was in the beginning here, it was really difficult for me a long time ago, and I just work on it, you know, try to be better with the setup and with the line or to ride here, and now I have good setup for this track, and yeah, I feel good now in here.
Felt that you were consistent throughout the day, that you were making decent starts, but you had speed even when you didn't. So I think you'll feel satisfied as a whole with the heats and then, of course, the grand final.
Yeah, only in the first 2 heats I have problem with the bike. You know, on the start, the bike just don't want to go. I was really last on the first straight, so I just have to fight to make some points. So I changed the bike because it was not very good. So I go on a second bike, and on the second bike I just, like when I make full throttle, the engine working well, and I can make a good start. And that was really important, you know, today, to make a good start and to be in the front in the first corner, to take the good line in the fast line, and just do 4 laps full gas. Yeah.
You were certainly full gas in the final. Many congratulations once again.
Thank you very much.
That's all from Muhldorf. We leave a third of the way through the season with only 4 points separating our lead trio and 4 rounds remaining. We'll be back in Germany after the summer break in Schiesel for round 3. In the meanwhile, it's Mathieu Trezaria and Chris Harris who are on top of the world.